Hello， 大家好，我是阿桐。那今天陪大家来看我们昨天看的这个是2019年 GT Sport 世界巡回赛东京站的准决赛 A 组今天我们来看准决赛 B 组的比赛。好，那大家准备好，我们就要来开始了哈。好，那节省时间我们直接来进行这个赛事的第一个小分组
German driver finally broke the curse, as you can see there. Second, he finished in Paris, eliminated during the repechage in Nürburgring, but fought back in New York to finish second under controversial circumstances, I think it's fair to say. And then finally got the duck off his back, took the win in Salzburg, qualified for the world final. At last, I think there was a sigh of relief on his face after that one.
Well, you say that, of course. It was a great performance by him, but and there are winners we see at the moment on screen at the moment for the last World Tour events. He didn't qualify very well this time around. He's actually not in the top 6 qualifier. He was qualified somewhere 10th or 11th or something.
这个有不同赛道的，应该是冠军吧。
He's been busy with studies recently, and since he's gone through already, he's not really giving it his full attention as he was back in Salzburg. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, down in 12th actually, Mikael was out after the qualifying session yesterday. Consequently, or conversely rather,
好，我们直接来要进入比赛了你看这个现场人超多的。
made it through to the top 6. So some really strong names in there that Mikael missed out on for whatever reason.
I tell you what, it's really nice to see.
好，
So it is going to be exciting to see how they.
我们进入这个第一轮好了哈，这样比较快。只有6个呢6个人。
thousandth of a second. We actually have a comparison video on our
B 组这次只有6个。
We'll get a couple of moments on the GRAN Facebook. But my word, over the course of a lap, which is over 3 minutes, being separated by 1,000.
哎呀，刚刚声音都没开，可能大家都没听到我的声音。来，再打个招呼，大家好，我是阿桐。那今天我们要看的是这个2019年 GT Sport 世界巡回赛东京站准决赛 B 组我们昨天看的是 A 组，那今天我们来看 B 组的比赛那刚刚我们前面有快转了一些，那等下我们直接进入看比赛的部分他这次一次只有6台车我们昨天看 A 组的部分一次有10几台车好，现在开始了哈。那昨天的 A 组比赛不知道为什么我这个录音的麦克风前面很正常，后面有一段也很正常，那在后面我忘记开声音了。然后中间有一段都一直有重叠的回音，那也不知道是为什么现在是排位赛吗
？Yeah, completely different sort of car to the Red Bull X2019.
他6台6来跑季圈排名吧。
Of course, based on a late 80s F1 car. We won't say which one. But lots of power, turbo engine, and it's a big turbo, so lots of turbo.
好吧，我们看一下他们的排名赛吧。
As Tom said just before we came over to the session, it's a bit like a switch. It's not there, and then it's there in all its mighty and all its glory. Here is Karatza right now. I quite like that livery in that car.
It looks good, doesn't it? I mean, the man who is known for piloting a car that looks very similar to that, of course, is the late great Ayrton Senna, and that is a livery that I'm sure he would be very proud of because it looks fantastic. The Brazilian flag adoring the whole car.
Yeah, I mean, these cars have been geared specifically for this circuit here. We don't usually see F1 cars around the circuit at the start, but no, with Gran Turismo we can do what we like.
等下我们会把这个排名赛的部分把它快转哦，我们直接来看进去看那个比较刺激的比赛的部分。
Luckily in Gran Turismo we haven't got to worry about that.
Thankfully not. Yes. Yeah, qualifying engines not something we have to worry about. Likewise, Australian, Macedonian hybrid.
哦，现在到第5个了哈。
Ryota
上面有个最佳的时间，目前最快的还是法国的。哦，这个日本人挤到第1位。
Here in Tokyo. Takuma Miyazono, meanwhile, is not looking too bad, but he's a tenth of a second down. He'll go second fastest as he comes over the line.
Even with the penalty, here comes Cody. He's 3 tenths down currently on De Roos. Let's see if he has a good last sector. Come through the last corner, smashes the throttle, keeps it the rear end in check, comes across the line and goes into 3rd position. Just off Ryota Kokuban.
The man we need to watch though is this man here, Ryota Kokuban. Look at him, 4 tenths of a second.
Everyone is so keen to be to be watching.
这个是前面他们先跑这个季圈排名哦，那季圈排名结束之后。
How can this, these crowds
这个
not affect their
声音的
performance?
音量稍微调小一点哈。这个季圈排名赛之后，看一下声音哈。哦，季圈排名赛之后啊，他们才做这个开始比赛的排位。前面这以单圈速度最佳成绩的来做那个。 起步顺序的一个排名哦。啊，我对这虽然唔是足专业，但我最近看的啦。啊，讲对讲唔对吼，啊在你啦，大家都来看。啊，你若是较了解的人讲，无你来陪我直播。
We have all been suffering moderately from jet lag.
帮我讲者，无我唔捌啦。啊，因讲英语我听无啊。
Actually not having that additional thing. I mean, when you're dealing with such fractions of time, it can make the difference between winning and losing and what your position is and everything. Just that little bit of sleepiness or jet lag. So they obviously have that, to their advantage here.
这是贡献。
It does help. It definitely does. There's no doubt about it.
看起来小姐水水啊嘛。
Jimmy Broadbent fell asleep the other day whilst we were in a production meeting. So
快转来进入。
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show how tired.
不要被介绍赛道啊哈。
Yeah, it definitely helps being on home soil. They're comfortable, and perhaps it's just that. Well, this is a road course, of course.
来，这个赛道哈。
Earlier on this year in the GRAN TURISMO World Tour, fair amount of elevation change to consider there. 38.
哦，这有高低落差哟。
Relatively fast and flowing track, but for a few slow corners, it's almost a bit of a square. This
还好啦，
really, it's kind of fast and flowing.
38公尺，
slam on the anchors.
爬坡跟下坡，爬坡唔攻，
as well. We have a couple of long straights here, very long straight from T14 down to T1 coming over the start-finish line. So looking to slipstream there, that's the place to do it, of course. And more importantly, we're showing off our new car in this race, Jaguar VGT all electric, lots of power, 4-wheel drive and adjustable torque split. We'll get into that very shortly. 12 laps around there, racing hard and medium tyres, and importantly, each tyre must be used for at least 4 laps in a row.
应该是逆时针照吧。
entirely electric, so just to bear that in mind. Tyre wear of ×5 though, racing hard and medium tyres available, so they must use each tyre for at least 4 laps in a row, and it's going to be interesting to see what strategy is all about. Speaking of strategy, here is the predicted strategy. Racing medium tyres, they'll get about 7 laps out of, but of course racing hard you'll get 5 laps on, so that's what we're predicting. They'll probably do 7 laps on the medium, 5 laps on the hard. They're going to lose about 10-11 seconds in the pit lane there as well. And you can see the difference in pace there between the hard and the medium tyres, 0.7 of a second on average.
And it's always quite interesting when they kind of set up this meta and then everyone kind of like suddenly turns it on its head in races and then we're like, oh, different strategy, messing with the meta, love it.
我麦克风修甲刷干净，我讲话较不要大声。
I like it.
Okay, so yeah, we've actually got the starting grid up there, semi-final A. Who are kind of your eyes on? Obviously, we talked about Miyazono, definitely. I think Rubala's like looking pretty strong too. What about Mick? How are we feeling about Mick this time around?
Mick was sharing some cheeky torque split strats with me earlier, saying that the car is fastest on the 35-65 torque split for acceleration, but with that it understeers. So his plan is to turn the torque steer down going into the corner and then back up again coming out. So he's going to be based on the wheel to doing this the entire time. So yeah, good luck to you, Mick.
Yeah. Having a fair old twiddle. Somebody who I'm sorry, I am sorry. Somebody who I'd like to see do well is Adam Sassuillo, driver who he's been there and thereabouts so far this year, and he needs to pull something out of the bag. He's been at pretty much every World Tour event we've done so far this year, but just never has had that sort of shine, stand-out performance like we've seen from Miyazono, Lukovsky, whoever. You know, and he just needs to get himself there. But I think it's now time to get semi-final A then underway here in Tokyo. Here then is the semi-final A for the Nations Cup 2019 World Tour for the GRAN TURISMO Championships. Visit GRAN TURISMO cars for the Jaguar machine newly announced in GT on Friday here in Tokyo. Takuma Miyazono starts from pole position, the Japanese driver with that blinding lap. And listen to the crowd behind us if you can hear that. See Adriano Garanza starts in second place on the grid on the front row. Andrew Brooks in third position, the Canadian, despite his poor qualifying, will line up at the head of the second row ahead of Nicolas Rubilon, the Chilean driver. The third row of the grid, Adam Swillow. Keep an eye out for the Briton, see whether he can do something in the British Racing Green machine. Mickey Zhao down in P6, can the German turn his fortunes around? Let's hope so. Adam Wilk lines up in P7, the Australian, so let's see if he can do something there with Koke Lopez lining up alongside him, another driver who's been a nearly man so far this year. Let's hope he can turn his fortunes around. Manuel Rodriguez in P9 there. And alongside him, there we can see just behind the Dutch driver down in P10. 11th place, Patrick Blajan. Then in P12, the final spot on the grid, Baptiste Beauvoir, the Frenchman, down in 12th place on the grid. He was actually lucky to make it to the grid. He has had a challenging time so far in Tokyo, and let's hope that he has a better performance under race conditions, Jimmy Broadbent.
Yep, so not a long run down to the first corner here. We have a rolling start, as you come to expect in these races. Now, as we said, these cars are four-wheel drives. It'll be a very quick acceleration down towards T1 here today. All the torque splits, I'm sure, set to 35, 65 for the best possible launch. And it will be Takuma Miyazono leading up for the first race here at Tokyo in front of his home crowd. Will he crack under pressure? Will he thrive? We are very, very close to finding out. Coming down to the start-finish line now. Let's get prepared for the race, guys. I hope you're ready. Got your drinks, got your snacks already. Better have it there because don't go away. Here we are then, coming across the start-finish line to get going at Tokyo for World Tour 5. And Miyazono leads the field down towards T1 for the first time in the background already. Rick Kevlin going off onto the grass. Not a great start from the driver from Holland there. Andrew Brooks looking around the outside, trying to go a long way around at T1. He's in second. Anderson's going to come through. Oh, big contact.
一聲就大家攏弄出去，衝啥哇咗嚟？哦，大洗牌，大洗牌。
And through that, Koke Lopez somehow comes through and takes the lead. Oh my word! Unsurprisingly, that first
it's all kicking off there. I think that was Andrew Brooks in the medium compound of tyres there. I don't know what happened down in T1. Whether I saw Swillow straight in like a wrecking ball. I don't know whether he had contact from behind. But we'll get a replay of that one very shortly. Meanwhile, Nicolas Rubilon side by side with Adam Wilk for third place. This is Christmas come early for these two because they were quite far down the order in terms of Adam Wilk, but Nicolas Rubilon now on the inside as they continue to run side by side with the right-hander. The Chilean driver is temporarily at least ahead and into P3.
That's a real shame there for Miyazono. He's now down in 10th position, making his way back up the field. But importantly, as we said before, all the hard runners in front of us are now actually at the front of the field, so they're on the worst tyre leading. They can set the pace, and then when they get onto the medium tyre, they'll be good. Adam Swillow there and Wilk having a fight from the futuristic cockpit of Adam Wilk right here as we come through the right into the left, and Rick Kevlin has been given a 10-second penalty, so I think it's fair to say he was the one responsible for having that. I hope we'll get a replay at some point.
規環攏衝出去，你走後邊，馬上走第一名去。但是你走第一名嘛無效啦，因為你實力若是無夠吼，那麼後邊嘛是用超過。弄來弄去你有看哦，幹那真笑。哇，這個一開始嘅所在。
But that was just a big old catalyst, and it just caused a horrible.
啊，本來打東啊，後邊攏歹打東啊，規環個錢啊。
Really unfortunate there. I mean,
真正是。
One small mistake, and his event is now essentially over 7 seconds at the back of the field. But here's someone who we didn't think we'd see here. It's Takuma Miyazono now. Just a refresher, if you've just joined us, top 4 go through automatically to the final, and then down to 10th go through into the reportage.
你有冇我哋看到？我哋看邊係熒幕啦。
Is just about going through, as is Miyazono, but a lot of work to do. Here's Andrew Brooks.
看到咁多delay 嗬，應該還好啦。
This is not where he wants to be on the medium compound, Tom. He wants to be up front.
Well, that's the thing here with the medium compound. They're the quicker compound of tyre. You want some clear air to run in at the moment. The harder compound, you're going to go for a longer stint, of course, because he's got a longer duration of tyre life. But then again, do you want to get off it as soon as possible? Maybe it's the converse there. Is Adriano Carrazza having the peace of mind? Sorry, Andrew Brooks, rather, I should say, having the peace of mind to play up to the camera. Carrazza, meanwhile, goes wide. What have I said? The commentator's curse definitely into effect as he runs wide, loses out to Miyazono. That's one less position for him to deal with. Now Carrazza going side by side with Rodriguez, and also Mika Zal involved in this. It was all kicking off a bit further in front as well with Miyazono and Swillo. Here is Swillo then with the Japanese driver, the pole sitter no less, right behind him. It's a big old gaggle of cars there up into P4. Now this is quite useful here for Miyazono. Whilst he's involved here in this group, it gives him a good opportunity to close up onto the back.
但这段是下坡路段哈，下坡路段哈。拄啊一开始就甲咱提示讲，这段下坡路段。
Due to an isolated incident, I believe, so the race has been red flagged for the first time ever in Gran Turismo World Tour history. So, yeah, that is well a big consequence of what has happened there. And my understanding is that it was related to some kind of an issue with the game there. So you'll get that one restarted very shortly, indeed, for the Nations Cup. But a red flag then. So.
I've never seen that happen before. I know they go through the test to make sure that we get an idea of what happens when that does occur, but a big round of applause there from the players. So I think they believe that should have been the case. Tom?
Just heard in my ears from Race Direction that Rick Cavalum has been given a penalty. He had that 10-second penalty, but because of the incident he caused at T1, he will start from the back of the grid for the restart of this race. Now that is massive. I mean, we've never seen this before. We always get the anticipation, the hype building up, and to have it dashed like that is, well, it's a big shame. And I've been fortunate enough to commentate on other forms of racing where you've had red flags in situations like this. It knocks the wind out of your sails a bit here, really. And the thing is, all these drivers, they were focused at the start of this one. They were ready to go and they were pumping through. And all the adrenaline was up. Now they've got to stop that. They've got to calm down again, and they've got to rebuild it up again for the start of the race this evening in Tokyo. It could be all to play for, and it's going to be exciting to see how it all plays out when we eventually get semi-final A, B, and also the grand final underway.
Yeah, hopefully there are more red flags for that. Of course, we have a big old audience here at the moment, and I've just got some nice news that we're going to be racing, starting the race once again very shortly. So here we go. Take two.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. 开始喽。
Let's try again then, shall we? The semi-final A for the FIA Gran Turismo Championship Nations Cup. And here is how the grid lines up for the second running of the race then. See the cars, Division GT, Jaguar machines lined up on the grid. Miyazono, who will start from pole position. An even bigger cheer this time around alongside him, Adriano Carrazza on the grid. The second row is Andrew Brooks, the Canadian. Keep an eye out for him. See whether he can turn his fortunes around here today with Nicolas Rubelar lining up alongside him, the Chilean driver. Fair bit of support for him there. Adam Swillo is in P5, the Briton, unlucky in the first running off at T1. Mikhail Hazal in P6, he'll be definitely hoping for a better running and keeping it facing the right way this time as well. Adam Wilk, the Australian in P7, alongside him on that row of the grid is Koke Lopez, who was leading. He won't be pleased with the restart because he was doing pretty well actually after how things were going. And Manuel Rodriguez lines up in P9, his fellow Spaniard, alongside Manuel Rodriguez. In P11, towards the back of the grid, is Beauvoir. Keep an eye out for him, has been unlucky so far this weekend. And right at the naughty boy spot on the back of the grid is Rick Cavalum, the Dutch driver, lining up in P12 following that incident down at T1 in the second running then of this race here, Jimmy Broadbent. You can see the top three drivers starting with the medium compound of tyres. And a note from the stewards there. All drivers, in other words, don't try and win the race at turn one.
About looking bad. In this instance, we want to make sure we put on the best show possible for you guys at home and have the fairest race possible. So I think the decision really to restart the race is a good idea. Now Miyazono has to do it all again. This time, focus on the apex. You're going down to T1 for the first time at a different speed you're used to in the car, which is incredibly quick on the acceleration. So making sure you're focusing on that braking point for T1 is essential. If you're Rick Cavalum, just try and make up the back. Try not to cause too much trouble this time. But anyway, take two. Takuma Miyazono will lead us off here at Sardinia for the start at Tokyo. Take two. Miyazono down to T1. Carrazza there dips into the slipstream straight away. Brooks is going to try what he tried in the first race and go around the outside into T1. Let's see if they can all get through cleanly this time. Carrazza takes the inside. Miyazono on the left. He gets a little bit of a biff out onto the ground. Now there's contact going on.
Quy堆走出去嘛。
Carrazza into the lead and Mick Hazal and Swillow coming together there. So some people not
這所以甲
respecting the
拄
driving
只無
stand
共
it
啊。
seems.
It's getting very
有
heated
啥
in
拄
this
啊，敢若
first
走
section.
兩
Is it very
走
sideways
兩
there
年
for
就休
Takuma
困，我都
Miyazono?
唔
He
知啊。
catches it up with the dap, but obviously Lopez loses out there to
咱
Coco
繼續
Lopez.
來看，
Your
我
gain has made a great ascension
小
through
甲
this
音
field
樂
on the
緊掉
opening
者
lap.
吼。
Here we ride on board with Andrew Brooks. He's right behind the Brazilian of Adriano Carrazza. Seems to like this Vision Gran Turismo car, does Andrew Brooks, and also Carrazza.
哦，路
Really
條啊，
a bit
路
messy
間
on this
呢。
opening lap here, but not doing too badly at all. Both these drivers, of course, on the medium compound of tyres, whereas Nicolas Rubelar, who's in P3, is going to be a bit of a sitting duck to Coco Lopez and in theory Miyazono, who are also on the medium compound. Here comes Lopez down the inside, but he's way too late on the brakes. Here goes Rubelar into the barrier.
Wow,
My goodness, and also
這是哪加拿大？哇，你靠北！
on the opening lap.
啊，恁是你
Brooks
乘
goes
碰
down,
碰車哦。
Miyazono caught up in that contact as well, the pole sitter. Would you believe the luck he is having here in Tokyo? The upshot is that Carrazza, Lopez and Rodriguez now occupy the
真
top
僥
three.
幸啊，安尼就差免伊啊吧。
The downside is both Mick Hazal and Andrew Brooks are now pretty much out of the running. Our winner from last time out is now 12th and last here in semi-final A, so a terrible first lap for him. But again, as you say, Tom, Carrazza and Lopez, by comparison, having a great first lap. First and second, Rodriguez up into third, Adam Wilk, up into fifth. And Rubelar, despite facing the wrong way midway through this first lap, is somehow in fifth. Here comes Miyazono up the inside of Rubelar. He's looking for the opportunity, turns the car in. A little bit of understeer there. That's what people would say. They were complaining about understeer a lot here. I think it's catching a lot of the drivers out when going to moves, which is why we're seeing so much contact.
That is possibly exactly right there, Jimmy Broadbent. As you say, in P5 now for Takuma Miyazono. His next target, of course, is Adam Wilk. Both those drivers there, Wilk and Rodriguez in front, are on the hard compound of tyre. Miyazono is on the medium compound, so he should be a lot quicker. Here comes Wilk, who's trying to send it down the inside of Rodriguez. This will be helpful here for Takuma Miyazono. It'll allow him to close up, and he is a lot faster, understandably, on that softer compound, the medium compound of tyres compared to the hards. Will he think about a move down in towards this following left-hander? He's very close behind. He's using the slipstream very effectively down here, but is he going to have the room to try and make a move? Rodriguez goes defensive against Wilk, and subsequently doesn't have room to move it, but Rodriguez is wide, and Wilk goes through side by side as well as Miyazono comes into the action here. Miyazono on the inside of Rodriguez. Wilk goes through on the Spaniard. Side by side we go once again through the right-hander, and then we're going to flick it left. But he's not able to find a way past his Miyazono, and it's allowed Rubelar and Blajan now behind to close up.
Wilk is doing a great job on that hard compound of tyre right now, keeping his guns behind him. Miyazono goes up the inside of Rodriguez in the background. Blajan gets it wrong. He goes wide, but the upshot is Miyazono is up into fourth place and back into an automatic qualifying position after starting on pole. Now he has Wilk in front of him. You see the different cornering styles through there. Miyazono was sideways through the corner and is now in the slipstream. Look at the speed there in the bottom right-hand corner, getting up to 200 miles an hour coming down the T1. Miyazono goes to the inside of Wilk. Just seems like a matter of discourse now. Through he goes up the inside. Wilk has no response from the hard compound of time. Through he goes. Wait a minute. Miyazono's been given a 2-second penalty. That must have been for contact.
And the same for Rodriguez there in P6 as well. P5, sorry, I apologise. So that is very, very important in this race and how it's going to shape out when they come to the penalty line over the timing line. Meanwhile, no such problems here for Adriano Carrazza and Coco Lopez. The medium compound of tyre, they have cleared off out in front, and this is very impressive from the Brazilian and the Spaniard, because it's just allowing them that buffer, and this will help them in terms of their strategy when they go on to the hard compound of tyre here.
Definitely will, and having the bigger gap there will just give you more time to play with at the end of the race, and those on the medium tyres will still have to pass you on tracks, making things a bit more difficult. I must say, Tom, fate seems to be against Takuma Miyazono here in this race, doesn't it? Punting off in the off in the first race, off in the second race. Now he's got a penalty, 2 seconds, which is not a small penalty around here in these cars. It's a big struggle for him. Lopez there just checking out the drivers behind him, but as you say, this is great for Lopez and Carrazza. They just get on with it in the front of the field, aren't they?
Look at how gingerly Lopez is having to go on the brakes there to not run into the back of Adriano Carrazza. I think, as you said, Jimmy, they're definitely struggling with understeer. I think they're struggling with braking as well. Some of it might actually be to do with the fact it's an electric car and it just slows down in a different way to what you'd be used to. There's no gears, of course, in this. It's a one-gear motion, so you put the throttle down and you brake, and it's like driving automatic. There's Miyazono on the grass. He serves his penalty, getting off the racing line very sensibly, as a warning is issued to the man now in third place, Adam Wilk, and here comes Baptiste Beauvoir also going through on Miyazono and Blajan. So Miyazono
gets Beauvoir as well at the same time, and just Miyazono. So Baptiste Beauvoir there was caught napping going to T1. He was fifth for a second, but Blajan went nope, and Miyazono goes nope, and they both go through fifth and sixth. And now again, Miyazono has it all to do. Reminder: top 4 go through automatically to the final. and then 5th to 10th go to the repechage. You do not want to be in the repechage, trust me. You want to get through nicely so you don't have to worry about that. This is a good performance by Blanchan so far. We've not seen much of him in the recent events. He's been here but not been doing too well. And Miyazano just dives up the inside using that medium tyre to its full potential, and through he goes up to 5th. Now can he get onto the back of the top 4?
This is great stuff from Takuma Miyazono. It might be a little bit too little too late though, because that medium compound tyre means that he wanted to have clean air to run in the opening stages of this race. Meanwhile, Rubelar challenging Adam Wilk now for P3, the Chilean versus the Australian then for the final spot on the podium as things stand. Meanwhile, Saswillo and Rodriguez are exchanging positions as the Spaniard makes his ascension through the field now up into P8. But Rubelar really beginning to put the pressure on. We're about to come into the pit window here on these tyres as well for the medium, so the hard compound of runners. They want to get off these as soon as they possibly can. So are they going to pit at the end of this lap and chuck the mediums on for the rest of the race?
Been a great drive by Wilk so far. It really has to maintain this third position. He didn't start too high up. How much longer are we going to be on this tyre for? Now each tyre must be used continuously. I think it's for 4 laps in this race. Yep. So really the hard runners can come in now, and Rodriguez does do that, as does Saswillo, so they're opting to use the medium tyre for the rest of the race. Now it's going to have to be something special from these guys now. Right now they're not in a position to go through to the grand final. They'll be going through the so this stint now, well, they ideally want is a bit of clean air. Let's see if they get it.
There
we go, clean air for Rubelar in front. Nothing like that though for Adam Wilk. This Jaguar Vision GRAN TURISMO car, very unique indeed. It's got a 3-motor electric power unit, and well, it does a fantastic job of propelling that car up to over 200 miles an hour as we have seen. It is deceptively quick.
That's right, and off our screen that Rubelar actually got past Wilk, so there was a pass for 3rd position there. Miyazano there again in background in 5th position. Interesting grip on the wheel he has, similar to the Alacy style death grip you see. It's interesting how people hold the wheel in different ways. I'm a bit of a nerd like that, so just ignore me.
No, it's brilliant though. It's good to notice there. He has definitely got a different driving style to Takuma Miyazono. If you compare himself from Rio to Kokubun, for example, they just handle the cars so differently just in terms of being smooth or aggressive.
Interesting thing on Kokubun, I know it's not in this race, but apparently he right foot brakes, which is very interesting. Now Rubelar moves to the left to defend from Wilk. I'm surprised they're having this fight right now, because Miyazano's just looking for an opportunity, and there he is alongside now Wilk. Now surely we're going to see Rubelar and Wilk now peel over to the right hand side of the course and pit in and get rid of that hard compound tyre. Let's see what happens here.
Miyazono, meanwhile, very close. Wilk does absolute spots on there, Jimmy. You call that to perfection. Blanchan coming in the there as well. Will Catalan follow him through? Most likely so, but there is Adam Wilk. Catalan does come in then, so off those hard tyres, get off them as soon as you possibly can. Get the mediums on, run to the end of the race. You'll be quicker in terms of your pace, and in theory, it should play out quite nicely in terms of that strategy. If, of course, you can get the clean air that you so need. Meanwhile, they'll run to lap 8, and then they'll run onto the medium hard compound tyres to the end then of this race here. So all the drivers who have pitted now down in the lower half of the top 10. So we've got to wait for it all to play out in terms of strategy to see how it's all going to unfold for these drivers.
Karatsa has been building the gap very slightly from there, now up to nearly 2 seconds. We'll see him probably in the pits in a few laps' time. Meanwhile, Rubelar opting to stay out on the hard compound tyre, and importantly, Miyazano is still stuck behind the Chilean driver. Of course, Rubelar was our winner at our first World Tour at Paris back in April, I think it was. My word, time flies. But now he's having to defend from Miyazano, someone who's just been a rising star over the last few events. But it just seems in this first race he's had a really rough run of things. In the first start of the race, was in the gravel. Second start is in the gravel, and now he's had a couple of penalties. And now trying to fight to get through to that automatic place to the grand final. Great air brake / spoiler on the back of the car. You see it actually retracts above a certain speed to get rid of the drag so the car can go quicker down the straight. I think it's amazing.
It is brilliant. Oh, wide there for Rubelar, and Miyazano goes into the back of him. Well, that was very interesting indeed. Rubelar got onto the grass on the outside from what I saw. Miyazano just planted it straight into the back. So into the pit lane then comes Miyazano off the medium compound on lap 6. That's a very early call here. Up until lap 8.
I think what he wants to do is get that away from Rubelar. He wants to try and get out there and just have a bit of free air. I'm not really sure what happened there. Did Rubelar just have a bad exit? Because there was quite a big hit between the two of them there. Baptiste Beauvoir comes into the bits as well for his pit stop going onto the hard compound tyre. Miyazano then comes out in 5th position.
He needs to keep ahead of these guys here. He really does. Andrew Brooks goes around the outside. Oh, and Brooks has gone off there, hasn't he, in that drama? So Brooks has gone off at T1. Was Miyazono at fault? I'd like to see another replay of that. The stewards will be checking it, and you can probably guarantee it'll be under investigation. And if Miyazono is, that could be bad to worse for the Japanese driver here.
What happened to Takuma Miyazono? This race has just not gone his way, and unsurprisingly, the incident is under investigation, so we'll get back to you as soon as we know what happens with that. But right now, Patrick Blajan, he's harrying the Japanese driver in that Hungarian liveried Jaguar Vision GT car. Again, all electric, four-wheel drive, and lots of power. 750, I think it's kilowatts of power, which is around 800 horsepower or so in old money, as you say, Tom. There he goes, dives up the inside of Miyazono, gets the move made on that medium compounder tyre. And it's, I say that, he did, and he goes wide there, and it doesn't seem very fast there in the top left, but he's just really ruined his race. So Patrick there, a little bit too aggressive on the way, and Miyazono very much knowing his braking points and confidently letting Blajan go up the inside and make a mistake.
Oh, wow, going a little bit wide there in fourth place. Sorry, Jimmy, you were talking earlier on about that retractable rear spoiler. I was really fortunate actually to spend a bit of time with the design team at Jaguar talking about this Vision Gran Turismo car. You can see no further action there. Racing incident has been deemed between Brooks and Miyazono here in Tokyo. That'll please the local crowd, I can tell you that. But I was just saying about the Vision Gran Turismo car, the dedication of this team to get it finished in the time span and the time frame that they did to produce something as brilliant as this. It's very unusual, this Vision Gran Turismo car, in the fact that it's got a very long sweeping bonnet, takes design cues from the C and the D types, bit of E-type in there as well. It's got the canopy that's really driver focused, the cockpit that's really driver focused. It is absolutely mega. Meanwhile, as we talk non-stop about the Jaguar VGT car, as wonderful as it is, the gap is shrinking between Adriano Carrazza and Koke Lopez.
Brooks in the background has gone from medium to medium tyres down along the field, so that'll be another stop from him. But yeah, the gap is shrinking at the front. Koke Lopez starting to reel in the Brazilian driver here. A nice little look at the cockpit. Looks like a little jet fighter, doesn't it? There's crazy mirrors there on either side of the dashboard. I can't get over that. That'd be a bit distracting for me, I think.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was again discussing it with the crew when they put those, when they're talking about the mirrors and how they're going to place them, and it does work relatively effectively. Actually, I have to say, you can see the hologram there on the dashboard. That is designed to feature different driving information here as well. So
I think right now it's telling him to go fast.
Well, quite exactly. Yeah, get past Carrazza is what he's saying at the moment there for Koke Lopez. He's just harrying down, chasing down that gap now in a second. Getting close further back as well though for P6. Into the pit lane though comes your race leader of Adriano Carrazza and Koke Lopez following him through. So these two are going to be, again, probably running nose to tail out of the pit lane then, because of course no fuel to take on board in these electric cars. Just the hard compound of tyres. Get out of the pit lane, out of it then, and then see where you end up. But who is going to take the lead? Rubilar also in there as well. He makes a stop from P3.
This will be interesting. Where does Rubilar come out? He's on the medium compound tyre now. He comes out just ahead of Miyazono, and Miyazono goes up into fourth place, so right back now into an automatic qualification spot. And Rubilar, he stayed out far too long on that hard compound tyre. And again, Beauvoir and Blajan goes wide there. It seems some people just don't quite, the merge back into the racing line there is quite aggressive. It catches some people out, and off go those couple of drivers. But now, Adam Sassuillo is hunting down Takuma Miyazono for that last spot in the grand final. Sassuillo, speaking to him earlier on, he wasn't confident about his chances here, but right now he's in a great position. That gap is constantly coming down. Director, please give us fourth and fifth. There it is. And Sassuillo goes up the inside of Miyazono. He can't quite keep the Briton there on the hard compounder tyre, and Sassuillo goes up into fourth place, and importantly, that last automatic qualification spot.
Manuel Rodriguez has been given a 2-second penalty. He's down in P8 following some contact with another car. So bad luck there for the Spaniard. And now Miyazono is going to be trying to attack, but he's also having to try and defend from Nicolas Rubilar, who's again trying to find his way past. He's on the hard compound of tyre. Everybody else around him on the medium. So he's a bit of a sitting duck here at the moment. It's Takuma Miyazono. He's going to have to drive with every ounce of talent that he has at the moment on lap 9 to keep himself in with a chance of qualifying for that grand final, and also in particular staying in the repechage here at least.
He's doing a good job of staying with the runners there. He's on the hard compounder tyre, as you can see in the top left-hand corner of your screen, and that tyre is about a second a lap or so slower than the medium compound. And let's see if he can hang on to Sassuillo quite wide there. Miyazono has the run coming down the T1, but does he have the tyre to go for an overtake? He's in the toe, dives to the inside. Adam comes across the squeeze, a bit too late though. Can he get the car slowed down though? Heavy on the brakes now for T1. Rubilar wants a piece of this action too. And Miyazono understeers into Sassuillo, who gets hit off onto the gravel trap again. And Miyazono, mate, that was on you. You hit him off again, so that's surely going to be a penalty for him.
I don't think Miyazono is particularly a big fan of the car car at the moment. He's not enjoying himself out there on track. Other people are certainly so. And meanwhile, Adam Swillow is not particularly a big fan of Takuma Miyazono at this particular point in time. Let's see whether that is going to be under investigation here. That incident. Swillow now trying to find his way onto the back of Takuma Miyazono. Both their races, that incident, Jimmy. Meanwhile, Adam Wilk did a really good job actually. He's been relatively quiet out on track, but the top three have actually been relatively quiet over the course of this one, but that's exactly what they wanted, and it's allowed them to hold on to these top three positions.
Adam could win this race, Tom. Adam is on the medium compound tyre. He's going quicker than both Lopez and Karatza. That gap's come right down now, so if anyone's going to win this race, it's going to be the Australian driver here, and that would be an amazing result for Adam Wilk. He's not usually up in the top end of the field, usually sits in the midfield somewhere, so to be on this strategy and be this close to potentially winning this race would really get his confidence up. He nearly runs into the back of Coque Lopez now, but look at that gap, it's come right down. He gets contact, no he doesn't, he gets a bit of understeer, and you see him in the bottom left. Whew, he says, I nearly ruined that, but I think maybe feeling the pressure a bit.
Under investigation, let's see what the stewards mean too far for the Japanese driver here in Tokyo. Coque Lopez, though, getting closer to Adriano Karatza, who's looking like a bit of a sitting duck at this particular point in the race. But as you said, Jimmy, Adam Wilk is really got the bit between his teeth, but can he do anything on that medium compound? Can he close up? Meanwhile, Miyazono is now ahead of Blajan as he comes tumbling down the order. This Patrick Blajan has clearly made a mistake of some description as he now goes down to P8. But here is the Brazilian driver. You can see him on the left-hand side of your screen, and he is really struggling in these closing stages to keep the pace of Lopez and Wilk.
He is. Let's see if he can do anything about it. Karatza there just trying to get the car through as smoothly as possible. You can see the car moves on throttle. Got the kind of lateral slide as the four-wheel drive kicks in. Behind us, you can't quite see it, about a second behind Adam Wilk, and Lopez taking a wider line there to try and conserve the tyre a bit more, I think, trying to brake as aggressively. Looks on the inside just to show the nose to Karatza to say, look, I'm behind you, we've got Wilk behind me as well, you've got to get a move on, mate. And just like that, Adam Wilk is back onto the rear end of these first and second place drivers. So again, if Wilk can just get a bit closer, have a better last lap, he can still maybe win this first semi-final here at Tokyo.
Really putting the pressure on. Penalty there for Takuma Miyazono, 1 second. So that is going to be crucial to the outcome of this race here for Takuma Miyazono. The good news is he's 1.9 seconds ahead of Baptiste Beauvoir in P6 at the moment. So that is a very welcome thing for him. However, it's just something to bear in mind. He might be able to slingshot past on the straight there. Beauvoir closes up a little bit more. Meanwhile, on the final lap we go with Coque Lopez in second place. Karatza goes defensive down into T1. Hard on the brakes we go into the left-hander. Trying to find the grip, trying to find track position. Karatza ahead for now on this last lap here, Jimmy, but it's getting pretty exciting.
Yep. It is, and I think the thing is, Wilk has actually made a mistake coming out of the last corner as well, Tom, so he's not going to be in the fray now, but they're both going at it. They don't need to fight too well. They don't need to fight. They can both go through here as long as they're sensible. There was a 1 second penalty given to Miyazono, as we said before, so he's now down out of the running to get an automatic qualification slot. But now it's between these two drivers, Coque Lopez from Spain, Adriano Karatza all the way from Brazil, both here in Tokyo, duking out in the new Jaguar Vision GT car. If that doesn't sound good, you're watching the wrong stream.
This is mega. Here comes Lopez. He's getting really close to Karatza now. They're nearly running side by side as they come through the left-hander. They're going to go hard on the brakes here. Will Lopez have a cheeky look? He's a bit of a step too far away. He's going to try and switch back against Karatza here, but Karatza gathers it up, doesn't go too wide on that corner, and he lives to fight another day against Lopez. But the tension is beginning to build here as the Brazilian is really on the back foot on this last lap, and Lopez is looking so menacing. He draws alongside Karatza. It's all kicking off for fourth place. Karatza defends. Lopez does find his way past, and there's contact between the two drivers. Karatza just holds on. Lopez gets out of shape there as well. Meanwhile, third place is now Rubilar as he's got ahead of Wilk. But over the line comes Adriano Karatza. He takes the win in semi-final A. Lopez finishes in second. Rubilar in third. And Adam Wilk is the last of the automatic qualifiers for the grand final in fourth place. Miyazono holds on to fifth, just ahead of Beauvoir after that penalty. And then Rodriguez, Kevelam, Blajan and Hizal just makes it through by the skin of his teeth there down in P10. Sadly, we say goodbye to Adam Swillow and Andrew Brooks there.
That's a real shame for Swillow there. He was definitely in the running there for a decent result. The thing is, Miyazono a really rough race for him, Tom. I mean, that was not the performance we expected from a man of his talent.
Messy.
Lots of mistakes, lots of penalties, and ultimately he's now going to have to try and get through again, but this time in the repechage.
Yeah, that was messy from Takuma Miyazono. Definitely a fault for some of those incidents. I think it's fair to say the steward's call was absolutely right over the course of that one, and that is really disappointing there for Takuma Miyazono. Julian, but here's the starting grid, Jimmy.
Yep, that's right. Ryota Kokibun, of course, who was one of the fastest drivers in the top 6 qualifier, will be starting on the pole. Ren DeRouche in second and Cody Matkowski in third. So basically, our top picks all together, which should be for a good start. Great thing about the Spa circuit, of course, is the first corner is the source. It's a hairpin, so lots of moves made down there. Be a rolling start as well. So, what do you reckon? Pile up?
Well, I hope not. I really rather hope not. Yes, got another red flag. Do you know, first time ever we've seen a red flag at a World Tour event. Do you know that?
Yeah.
It's like nearly 2-year history already.
Đây.
So here then, for the 2019 FIA Gran Turismo Championships Nations Cup. Spa-Francorchamps is the circuit in heavyweight conditions, and here is how the grid lines up.
So on the pole position is Ryota Kokibun, the home driver here. Big cheer from the crowd, unsurprised. In second place, Ren DeRouche, the Frenchman there. Great qualifying session for him in the top 6. And in third is Cody Matkowski. What can he do from third place? Let's see if that aggression is in check, shall we? In fourth, another Japanese driver, Yamanaka, crowd favourite both here and across the world. Maraglino, the Italian driver there in 5th position on row 3. He's joined by Kim Long Lee there, the Hong Kong China driver. Then down in 6th place we have Giorgio Mangano, the Italian, another Italian on the field. Great to see them represented here, of course, in Tokyo. Then Sugawara, again a massive cheer from the crowd for every Japanese driver, massive home support here. Kevin Pounder yet making an appearance at yet another World Tour event, good to see him. Then Danny Solis had a bit of a tough ride yesterday in manufacturers, but looking to redeem himself here. Then Cho there, down in 11th place on the back row of the grid, and he's joined by Regalado, the Peruvian driver. That's 12 cars in the wet at Spa. Looking forward to it.
How many different nationalities have we got going up and down the field? We've got drivers from Japan, Hong Kong, China, Taiwan in there, Peru as well. It's mega this, isn't it? Oh, don't say the Nations Cup isn't diverse, if that's anything. Ryota Kokibun, though, is going to lead the field around through the bus stop chicane. What do we reckon here, Jimmy, on these opening few laps? These guys have got to keep themselves relatively clean. That's the thing. It could cost them quite a lot more than they could gain.
Well, first of all, we're in the wet conditions, so all the braking zones are massively increased. We're in the mid-engine car. This car wants to turn around a lot on throttle, so you've got to be nice and careful, especially when you have corners like Radion coming over the top of there in the wet. It's going to be very tricky on the first lap when you're trying to fill out the competition and the pace. So I think maybe just try and take it easy for the first lap, and once you're comfortable, start pushing forward.
Semi-final B then for World Tour 5 here in Tokyo for the Nations Cup. There is Ryota Kokibun, the Japanese livery on that Porsche 911 RSR Group 3 machine, who is going to be leading at the end of this 7 laps. 4 drivers to go automatically through to the grand final. Here we go then, semi-final B in Tokyo is underway. Ryota Kokibun immediately darts to the inside. Ren DeRouche, and somebody's off already there in the background. I think that's Danny Solis, who's had strife in the first opening start of this lap, but down into La Source they go for the first time. Take it gingerly down there, fellas, because you've got a lot more to lose than you have to gain. Matkowski down the inside of DeRouche into 2nd position, Yamanaka into 4th, Mangano into P5, and Kim Long Lee also into 6th place here, but they're all coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion here for the first time of asking. But Ryota Kokibun there, the Japanese driver, kept his nose clean and holds his lead.
A mistake from Maraglino as well, sees him drop down the field, but we're focused on these guys right now, coming through Radion for the first time. Casting nice and steady over the Sugawara, correcting a little bit of a slide over there, but no big drama. We do have an investigation underway, but we'll get back to that in a second. On board Yamanaka, and you're seeing the lack of visibility behind the spray of Ren DeRouche coming down to Lake Comp for the first time. And you can see in the steering just how twitchy the car is on the brakes coming into Lake Comp. And just trying to be very, very easy on the throttle through there. We get to look at that inputs every now and then. You can see just how cautious they're having to be around. Here's a replay of the start. Let's see what happens here.
Down into T1, Maraglino there on the outside, Yamanaka on the inside. Now, is there a bit of contact going on in the midfield? It's very, yeah, you can see there. Maraglino gets tipped round. And Ben Cho going into the side of Kevin Pounder, which subsequently sent Maraglino down the order. So a penalty there for Kim Long Lee. He was deemed to be the cause of that incident, and he is now suffering a 2-second penalty from 7th position.
So that Cody is up in 2nd place. He is now trying to chase down Ryota Kokibun. This is a new challenge for our drivers. It's the first time we've seen Spa in the wet as well. So great to see that wet weather is becoming to Spa as well as the circuit soon, hopefully for you guys at home, of course. But Cody there seems to be very much in his element at the moment.
Yep, you can see there Ryota Kokubun, Cody Lukovsky, we ride on board with him now at the moment. Now keep an eye out for the driving styles here, as you said there, Jimmy. The car looks so twitchy, but they're having to just tippy-toe around here as things stand and be so careful going through these corners. Look at the throttle input that they've got in particular. They're just having to be so patient on the throttle, on the steering, and just take everything and treat it almost with kid gloves there. We saw an incident, meanwhile, under investigation there involving Kevin Pounder and Alonso Regalado. Regalado deemed to be the cause of that and hit with a 2-second penalty.
Yeah, patience is not a thing these drivers have, I can tell you that right now, especially Cody Lukovsky as we come through Blanchimont. Let's see what they do from here. A big break on the way in. That's usually a corner with a lift. Big break in these Group 3 cars through here. Now we come into the bus stop. Where are they braking? They're braking before the 150-metre board. You see, on the way down, Cody having to correct the car several times to the rear, slips and slides in these back conditions. To suit Brandon Rouge now, he's behind in third.
我讲对这赛车人无兴趣的吼，你叫伊看这也感觉足无聊的啊。你讲看人安尼开，真好耍啊，真新鲜的。啊，你若你升 PS4 的，会使去买这台来耍，袂歹耍 GT Sport。但迄方向盘吼，要被抓。较好的方向盘，迄开起来路感吼。 迄落回馈的迄个力道吼，哦，迄足爽的。
Of Cody Lukovsky.
来，右转90度的弯道。
Meanwhile, Segurara is in the effective slipstream range of Giorgio Mangano. Side by side they come down into late Kim on the outside here for Segurara. He runs off onto the sleeping policeman and he drops back now behind Giorgio Mangano.
Hey, what, you think there's a lack of grip on the race surface? At Spa, is he picking up a penalty there? Going over the off track.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I'd argue it slowed him down enough there. I think he slowed up. But
我都講啦，阿信你唔就你拍 PS， 見啊衝一段賽車來，大家來加一下對哦。無錢買賽車，上無有錢買光碟片來拍啊。
Nice and neat, nice and tidy. Try and get onto the back of Yamanaka and start chasing that automatic qualification position. One more thing to remind you guys of course, if you have just joined us, top 4 go through automatic to the final. 5th to 10 go through the repechages, and we say goodbye to 11th and 12th position.
At the moment, that is Kevin Pounder and Danny Solis in P11 and P12. They've got quite a bit of a gap actually back to Mariglino, who is just holding on to P10 as things stand. But these drivers, as you said, just taking it so gingerly going through there. There is Ryota Kokubun. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen on his cockpit view the rear-facing camera, which has got a mirror full of Cody Nikola Lukovsky's Porsche 911 RSR, and actually really riding the curb there through the right-hander of Stavolo there for Ryota Kokubun. So I don't know how that's going to affect him too much on his drive onto this straight here, Jimmy, as they head in towards Blanchimont, because as you've mentioned many times, you make a mistake going through there, you carry that mistake all the way through to the next serious braking zone.
The curves are very slippy in the
wet
around here as well, so try and keep off if you really can. Saying that, Ryota uses all the curb on the exit of Blanchimont there, I think, just to try and carry the speed, and now braking a little bit later than we saw before. I think now it's starting to fill out the circuit and where it is, and watch the throttle input through here, barely even getting near 30%, completely off the throttle now, wait till the car's in a straight line, then full throttle, and then you can unleash the power. Coming down through the line one more time.
Bouncing off the rev limiter there in second gear, as well as he's waited to shift up to third. Really interesting driving style here from Ryota Kokubun. They're just trying to tame the wheels of that car. If he went to third gear too early, he might spin up the wheels even in these conditions. It does happen. Meanwhile, just a bit further back, Mariglino has got himself up into 9th place now ahead of Ben Cho, the Taiwanese driver, down into P10.
Does. That's coming through Rouge then. Great shot there going up the hill. There's Ray and DeRouche. He's actually closing in on Cody Nikola Lukovsky in front.
哦，我知啊啦。
Now it's about 6/10 behind.
我自頭個尾後帶，迄個 W 就魚胎 ，H 就是較定嘅咧呐 ，S 就是較嫩嘅咧呐。我一直喺當作是手牌，會使改自排，自排佢會使改手牌。 3年后拄啊看到落雨，啊，佮看到 W， 我才想到讲，哦，原來是電那的，哦，我算嘛是有用心伫看。歹勢啊，阮較含慢，啊，恁知影就莫伫遐笑啊。啊，阮這毋知，阮家己看研究，阮當然嘛是知啊。所以這拍電動這哦，嘛是要懂英文，要會看這個表。第二名其實約足硬的，這第3年呢，隨時有可能會被超過。
Really compromise yours and somebody else's race. You've got to drive on such a knife edge around the circuit in these conditions. You've just got to be so careful as things stand. And you can just see Cody there slowly.
大家看到我的面是真艱苦啦，啊，我的面禁掉，啊，咱好好來看比賽。哦，唔是拜拜啦，先莫看到我啦哈。
Over the course of this race on lap 3 here, Jimmy. So it's getting pretty interesting, and we could see some moves being made over the next couple of laps, potentially for position.
This depends really on what Darush can do here and what Cody can do. Kokibun is being caught by both second and third place right now. And the closer you are to the car in front, the more of the slipstream effect you're going to get. But you're also going to get dirty air around here. I'm just seeing Kokibun go quite wide there on the exit of Blanche. We lost a little bit of time coming up to the braking zone. Not enough, I think, for Cody to try and move into the bus stop, but more importantly, the closer he is now, the closer he can be coming out of Eau Rouge and Radion, and maybe can make a move into Lake Com up there. So really, what Cody and Ray will be thinking of doing right now is just trying to set up a move for the end of the straight. That's what you have to try and focus on. There's no use going at it for every corner, because that's how you'll lose time. At the moment, it's only half a second between third second and third respectively. Probably a bit poorer compared to Kokibun. I say that, Kokibun's wide, he slides, so they both have a similar exit. This could be it for Cody if he gets a good run for Eau Rouge.
Just an idea of how smart, to give an example of how smart Cody Lukowski is driving. Under the brakes into the bus stop, he moved over to the left-hand side at the last minute to get himself a better line going through that corner after being on a tighter line to try and avoid the curb on the outside. He's really, you can see the expressions on his face on the left-hand side of your picture there. He knows that he had a poor run through there, but he's actually closing up a little bit onto the back. He's got a penalty as he exceeded track limits, and that is not helping Cody Lukowski. So now it's all getting himself past Rio to Kokibun. Kokibun goes defensive, moves over to take his normal line on the braking zone. That's harsh but fair there from Rio to Kokibun. Lukowski trying to find his way through, and all the while these guys are squabbling.
日本的少年人，南美反正也一緊張，小踹一個，我看到叫超過啊，加出條嘅。
And repeat that feat here in semi-final B.
Very firm move there from Kokibun to say, no, mate, this is my corner, don't even think about it. And when you have Cody behind you, you have to do that. Cody is a guy that will take any opportunity to get that car past. And now, luckily for Kokibun and for Darush, Cody's got a 0.5 a second penalty. It won't hamper him too much, but he'll definitely lose that second position if he can't get by Kokibun now.
進前陪大家看新聞，大家無興趣，但陪大家看賽車，我看大家嘛無興趣，但是這個時間大家攏要困啊。
Don't touch his curb on the inside there, because that is actually
very high
and then send you off to the exit.
啊，毋是啊，較有家己的時間，然後用直播了。你是愛做是，啊，毋是啊，愛直播哦。真正是足忝的。
There's the half-second penalty that Cody Lukowski has got, and he'll serve that next time around halfway down the Camel Straight, which is not the ideal place to serve it if you're the driver, because of course you're going to lose time, and he will lose if the gap stays in position to Rayan Darush.
Now starting to put the pressure slightly. You're seeing sliding that Porsche 911. This car is technically mid-engine nowadays. It used to be rear-engine, now it's technically mid-engine. But even so, the car is very slightly under power, especially in these wet conditions here at Spa. So coming through Blanchimont, a great angle back there, looking at the rear spoiler, and the spray being kicked up into the face of Cody Nicola Kostic. You'd be glad his wiper is working. Coming now down to the bus stop again, not quite close enough to make a move, and just going to tuck in behind the Japanese driver. You see using all the curb, they're trying to make the shortest line possible. And oh my word, what a move by Cody. All it took was one little mistake from Rio to Kokibun, and Cody Nicola Kostic now goes on to the lead. He has to run down the stop. Good move by Cody.
I
tell you what, the atmosphere here has just gone through the roof in Tokyo. The Japanese commentators
水果盖跑法
just blown a gasket, I think, as they're getting really excited about all this because they know, of course, that Kokuban, if he stays and keeps that gap under half a second, he will be able to go back through, and also Rand DeRouche could follow him through there as well. Up through Rouge and Radion they go then for the 5th time of asking onto the camel straight. Here is where Cody's going to serve his penalty. Does he move off the racing line? Let's hope he does, and it allows Kokuban and DeRouche to go through in a safe and clean manner. Try and use the slip through for as much time as they can. Kokuban goes to the outside line. He goes through into the lead, and now it is side-by-side action between Lukovsky and DeRouche. DeRouche on the outside, Lukovsky on the inside. Into Lekum they go, and Lukovsky holds off the charge of the Frenchman for the time being. That is brilliant from Lukovsky. He could have really lost out there. He could have dropped down to 3rd position, but he didn't. He held off the charge of Rand DeRouche, and that was very, very important.
That was really nice positioning by Lukovsky. He did have to serve the penalty, so he ultimately had to give him the place to Kokuban, but just made it more difficult for Rand DeRouche. Didn't give him any space that he had to give him, gave him the minimum possible space, and therefore kept 2nd position. And now I think he knows, right, I know I'm quicker, I know I can get past Kokuban. I've done it once, I'll do it again, and maybe we can see the Australian taking his first win here in a World Tour event. But DeRouche there, he's stuck to the back of both of these guys. One mistake from either of those and he'll be through again.
All at the back of him like a bad rash, isn't he? There's an incident involving Kevin Powder and Kim Long Lee that is now under investigation, so keep an eye out on that. Those drivers sitting in 9th and 10th position respectively, and it'll be interesting to see what has happened there. Maybe we'll get a replay if there is deemed to be a penalty, a warning issue there to Kim Long Lee. We didn't see what happened on the screen at that particular point in time. Either way, the driver from Hong Kong, China is issued with a warning, so another strike, and he will get a penalty for similar conduct out on track. And some people will be watching this race at home and say, well, do you know what, it's a bit of a slow burner, this one. It's not as interesting as we've seen with other races, but you know what, it's a thinking man's race, this one, and it's rewarding those who are being patient, such as Giorgio Mangano. He's closed that gap down to Tomoki Yamanaka over the last couple of laps, and he's now all over the rear wing of his fellow Porsche 911 RSR driver. Mangano trying to challenge, but coming through Blanchimont, they're going to have a big lift here and be careful they don't run into each other as they go through that corner. Nicely done there and very sensible from both drivers. Mangano surely isn't going to have a lunge down into that bus stop chicane. He's a bit too far away on this occasion, but if he can set it up coming out of turn 1, out of La Source, or maybe even out of the bus stop here, he could be in a prime position to try and challenge for P4, and a mistake like that from Yamanaka might be the opportunity that Mangano needs.
You know that Yamanaka will defend for his life again. He's in 4th position right now, so as it stands, we go through to the grand final. If the race ends at this moment, it doesn't look like it for me and you at home. We can get to watch this Mangano seems to be a lot better on the brakes than Yamanaka is. He's a bit more confident getting that pedal down. Now, how is he on power?
This is for the automatic qualification spot in the grand final as well. So this isn't just for position, it is for the final spot in that grand final for the Nations Cup here in Tokyo. Meanwhile, the gap has come down for the race leaders just by a couple of tenths of a second, but up through Rouge we go, watching P4 and P5. A slide there from Yamanaka up through the top of Radion onto the Kemmel Straight. He is going to have to really try and go defensive and hope that Giorgio Mangano can't find his way past. In the slipstream here is the Italian. Yamanaka towards the outside. He squeezes him over on the far side of the track. And Mangano on the brakes goes through into the position. He slides a bit wide though, but he holds it off through the left hand. The Italian commentators next to us have gone absolutely glossy, and Mangano is at the moment through into the grand final.
He won't take that line down. I guarantee you that they put the samurai here. Very aggressive driver, and he will not let Mangano go. Meanwhile, at the front of the field is closing up. Once again, Ryota Kokuban is not quite able to carry the same pace as Cody Nikola Lukovsky there in 2nd. Coming down to Pouon again for the 6th time at the moment. Who's going to be better run through here? Let's see. On the brakes, turn the car in. Nice and easy in the power. So easy to get the car sideways with this long sweeping left-hander. Speaking of sideways, Lukovsky there getting all kinds of locked up. Coming up now to the Fania chicane, another corner which is all about technical driving and keeping the car nice and steady on the power, and a bit too fast on the way in there. A wiggle there from the Australian driver, which allows Rand DeRouche to come back into play again. Looking to Stavolo 1. Not quite close enough to do that, and Cody, luckily for him, just about keeps the place. One small mistake can cost you quite significantly, and now Lukovsky, instead of attacking on Kokuban, is having to defend from Rand DeRouche, who also has his own moment coming out of Stavolo there. So it's all to play for. We're ready to come on to the last lap then here of semi-final B at Spa-Francorchamps, and Rand DeRouche, the man
man who is going to be on a charge and trying to attack against Cody Lakowski. If he doesn't make any mistakes, he could try and do so, but if Lakowski has a good few corners, he could subsequently be onto the back of Ryota Kokubun. It's so unpredictable going onto the last lap here. 3 drivers fighting for the race victory, and it is going to be hugely exciting to see how it all plays out.
It is. So here we come then, bus stop for the penultimate time. We come over the start-finish line to start our final lap here, semi-final B at World Tour 5 at Tokyo. Can Cody, Nicola Lakowski do anything about the fight at the front?
迄镜头呢，你车内视角时，你过弯道，我拢咧看因的油门，你知哦？伊个油门拢会慢慢啊放一出来。啊，像咱拢毋是当啊大家要死的，油门站到死，所以我多单独我多做赛车手。哦。
Over the top of the hill, over Radion, the car gets light, it wants to swap ends on you, but these guys are pros, no chance of that happening here. Cody had a great run there coming up through Radion, but he's not going to quite be close enough for a move to Laycom, even with the draft, the gap coming down. Here we are on board then with Cody, the spray being kicked up into his face, look to the inside, not quite close enough. Kokubun defends the inside line, but look how much closer now Cody is. My word, he's a little bit wide there, that's going to slow him up quite a bit. And allow Darush back into the frame.
It's getting very exciting indeed. Through the right hand we go, then heading down in towards Rivage of turn number 1.
右下角，迄青色嘅迄个油门，红色嘅是刹车。你看这刹车个慢慢啊打油门，含的有啊，含一出啊，慢慢啊吹，慢慢啊吹。哇，放油门，吹油门，哦，这油门的控制，哦，吹甲真棒啊！你有看？ 那咱你开油门拢嘛是吹真棒，哦，这档啊打有打足暗哦，哦，这油门的控制，因为你咧升关赛车哦，你油门有时会占伤重哦，伊后壁的链啊会空转，你知哦？空转就甩尾，你无看足侪迄款 YouTube 影片，有要买兰博基尼啊，伫路会刷刷的啊，油门占伤大啦，做啊甩尾飞出去的，所以弄着条啊。 这大马力的车吼，油门啊控制无好，你开这款比赛拢会飞出去的。后壁咧那拢会抓地力无去。
Keep himself nice and on the straight and narrow there for Ryota Kokubun. As you said, Jimmy, he's got himself a nice little buffer in hand of half a second at the moment. Ryota is in 3rd position. He's not been able to mount a charge. He was really very close indeed. Through Blanchimont for the final time we go, and then hard on the anchors into the bus stop chicane. Positions changing place a little bit further back there as well. But Ryota Kokubun, what a mature, brilliant and fantastic drive it has been from the Japanese driver. And on home soil here for World Tour 5 in Tokyo, he outs the final corner and comes over the line to take the win. Ryota Kokubun is on top in semi-final B. Cody Lakowski finishes P2 and Rayan Darush finishes in 3rd place and Mangano over the line in 4th place. Brilliant stuff there. The commentators next to us are absolutely overlooked. Tatsuya Sugawara, Mariglino, Regalado, Pounder, and Dimlongli will all have to contest in the repechage race here later on this evening, coming up very shortly indeed, actually. Bencho and Danny Solis, sadly, will go no further in the Nations Cup race. But, well, Jimmy, you know what? We've seen more exciting races with on-track action, but that was, as I said earlier on, a thinking man's race.
好来，
This is where this
这是下一个赛道6.560公尺哈。
Sector 2, turn 11 is the one I picked for my overtaking down there, but it's a very fast run
这是
down
你
there.
东京南
Especially in these cars as well,
南部
it's going to be quite easy for an overtake, also quite easy to make a mistake down there. Quite a bit of elevation change at this circuit, 24 meters between the lowest point and the highest point as well. And it being a street circuit, meaning there's not really much room for error around here.
No, the error being that you hit the barrier on the outer or inner side of the circuit, depending on how badly it goes. N500 cars, this is the first time we've seen N500 cars since Paris, I believe, actually. It's been a long time since we've seen those out on track. And sports hard tyres at the Tokyo Expressway South inner loop, times 5 fireware, fuel times on 1, slipstream setting on weak, as you can see. No fuel consumption really to worry about. Tyre wear shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's just a flat-out sprint over those 6 laps, rather, I should say, to the checkered flag.
Just to double check and verify that I'm getting this the right way around. So if they don't make it this time, this is their last opportunity to get through to the world final?
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, the world qualifying.
Yeah.
You have to get through the repechage and then win the last race. So it's going to be a big
so like it's literally like last chance saloon for this season. Ooh,
and
this is going to be good.
It's only 4 drivers that are going to make it through out of the 12 that are starting. So we lose 8 drivers from this.
Yeah, that's a lot of drivers. Yeah, let's take a look at the starting grid there. Oh, look, yeah, Mick down at 11th there. That's not to say you can't pull that back. I did give him some cookies beforehand. I feel like it maybe not helped.
来，直接来講下緊。
The repechage race for World Tour 5 here in Tokyo for the 2019 FIA Gran Turismo Championships to get underway very shortly indeed. N500 cars for these drivers, so Rogo machinery on the Tokyo Expressway. It's Takuma Miyazono, the hometown favourite, who lines up on pole position, and you can hear the crowd here, but his fellow countryman Tomoki Yamanaka alongside him on the front row of the grid. Row 2, Baptiste Bourgeois, the Frenchman. And on the second row as well, it is Tatsuya Sugawara. Hear the crowd behind us. I hope you can, because that is mega.
哦，这个上无日本队涂装袂拢统一白红、白色、红色。这个有开始色对出来。
in P6, Rick Cavallan there in P7. Had a difficult day so far following the contact he had in the opening stages of this weekend. Alonso Regalado is down there, the Peruvian driver. In 9th position. In P10, it is Kevin Pounder, the American. See what he can do. Turismo Windfire is right now on mine. Mikhail Hazard.
你有看到頂管咧，即係康康嘅看板無？迄你若有錢甲贊助伊嘅遊戲哦，後擺你嘅看板頂管就會出現你公司嘅 logo。
I hope I'm in the SLR McLaren because it is fast around this circuit. Oh, there he is. So we might see a charge for the field here. But a bit of a short run to the line. It's a rolling start, as we tend to have in these repechage events. Miyazono not done too well from pole today. 2 poles, 2 issues in the races beforehand. Let's see if he can lead better off this time in the repechage.
Drivers then ready to come around the final corner and over the timing line to get this repechage race underway. Strategy is out the window. No pit stops to take place. It's an all-out sprint to the checkered flag. And who will be the 4 drivers that make it through to the grand final? We're about to find out as the repechage race at the Tokyo Expressway for World Tour 5 on the 2019 Gran Turismo Championships is underway. Miyazono leads the field away as Tomoki Yamanaka comes into the slipstream, as does Baptiste Bourgeois. Look at Sugawara as well. He's very close behind Manuel Rodriguez as they all duck and dive and head down towards the left-hander of turn 1. It's Miyazono who holds firm, as does Yamanaka in second, Bourgeois and then Sugawara further back. Drivers getting very close. Everyone
knows now that one mistake is going to effectively cost them the chance to go through, but now we're coming down to one of the heaviest braking zones on the course. He goes defensive coming into the hairpin, all heavy on the brakes. Miyazono through in first, but Bourgeois has made a big mistake, very wide there. Yamanaka goes up into second place, and Sugawara 3 wide on the inside, at the front of the field. Yamanaka is going to get by Miyazono on a corner there. For the Japanese driver in the GTR, embarrassing his countryman. Miyazono ran wide into the hairpin. That allowed Yamanaka to draw alongside and pull through into that corner. Here we go then with Bourgeois and Mariglino side by side between the Italian and the Frenchman through the right-hander. They're all off into the wall. There's a smash of contact as they get ready then to come down the long run into the hairpin, which will follow. This is the best chance to slipstream and find your way past the drivers in front. It's another investigation meanwhile for Kim Long-Lee and Patrick Blajan, but look at Alonso Regalado. He's now up into P6, challenging Manuel Rodriguez for P5. As they come through the right-hander, they'll go hard on the brakes into the very, very tight hairpin, and it's now Bourgeois in 3rd place, just ahead of Sugawara here as things stand. So now the Frenchman is ahead, and at the moment through, but it's all kicking off a bit further back here. The second heavy braking zone there, I think they're a bit cleaner than the first one. Luckily for us and the drivers there. On board now with Sugawara inside the Ford GT. Love the cockpit inside that car. Getting an idea of what this guy is looking at right now. See how close the walls are. You have to drive the car out of the wall like it isn't there. Try not to touch it, so you're right down. And meanwhile, Patrick Blajan down in last place is slapped with a 1-second penalty, and that's not going to help his race, given that he's already last at the moment. Yeah, we didn't see what happened there for Patrick Blajan on screen at that moment, but clearly contact with himself and Kim Long-Lee owing to that 1-second penalty for the Hungarian driver. There is Manuel Rodriguez. Pretty close there behind him is Alonso Regalado in P6. Little bit of a gap there just ahead of, just behind him rather, I should say, is
Salvatore Maraglino in 7th and Rick Keveler. Meanwhile, the top 3 subsequently have also managed to break a gap away. Yamanaka, Miyazono and Beauvoir. So your top 3 sits like that. Here comes Miyazono trying to draw alongside his fellow coaches to come through the left-hander. This is looking pretty good indeed as they are on lap 2 here. Miyazono versus Yamanaka, and Miyazono goes through with the slipstream into P3, into the lead on the P3 of Beauvoir. Meanwhile, is challenging for 2nd place against Yamanaka, trying to go the long way around the outside through there. He's hung out to dry. He's got no room to move and use the momentum that he gained, and he subsequently does hold on to that 3rd place.
Getting quite quick in a straight line. The turbo brick, as I love to call it.
安尼技术应该到差不多啦，我嘛是路边，嘛这日本人嘛是路边。
Really thrives through this fast session here through the tunnel. In we go then now.
路边。那路边会使，安尼我嘛选手啊，我嘛会路边。
in the slipstream, using the toe in his NSX. Can he make a move there coming for the right-hander? End of this straight is a very heavy braking zone. We're on board with now. Someone who didn't qualify very well initially, but now is in a good opportunity to go through to the grand final. Flick the car into the right. Yamanaka gets it slightly wrong. That's going to slide off from the exit. Now come down to the hairpin. Yamanaka sits on the inside, squeezes Beauvoir to the outside. Gives him nowhere to go. Yamanaka sits on the inside, does not want to give that up, and just about retains 2nd. And meanwhile, at the back of the field, Mick Hazal moves up to 8th.
Harsh but fair driving there from Tomoki Yamanaka. No penalties issued in a separate incident between Beauvoir and Maraglino then. In that incident that took place earlier on, but here comes Beauvoir now challenging against Yamanaka once again. He's not close enough to mount anything as things stand at the moment, but it's getting pretty exciting between all of these drivers. Don't forget, of course, the top 4 will make it through to the grand final at the moment, who is on the bubble in 4th place there. Just behind him is Manuel Rodriguez and Salvatore Maraglino, also not too far adrift as things stand, but Beauvoir and Yamanaka looking pretty racy. That has allowed Takuma Miyazono to just build up a bit more of a gap out in front.
Here we go then. Over the line to start another lap, and now we're going to be coming down this left-hander, very tricky left-hander. It's kind of blinding the way, and Yamanaka's gone far too quick on the way. He's going to tackle the ball. That's going to allow Baptiste Beauvoir surely to move up into 2nd place. There it is, an easy move there. Not judging the corner correctly, and is now back down to 3rd position. Now, Rodriguez in the background up to 4th as well. So right now he is through in the automatic qualification spot. There's a big train behind him as we come down again to the hairpin. Rodriguez on the inside of Sugawara in the Lexus LC 500, heavy on the brakes. On the inside here, Maraglino pushes Sugawara and Regalado, the Peruvian driver there in the BMW M3 that's quite big by comparison to the other ones. Is far from over.
This is absolutely mega stuff. Running nose to tail, it was a 3-way scrap for position. It's now nearly a 7 or 8-way scrap for track place, and you can see as we ride on board with Mick Hazal, that McLaren Mercedes SLR is looking pretty handy at the moment. There is Mick Hazal, as always, looking cool as a cucumber and showing no emotion on his face in any way, shape or form. Sugawara though in front of him, how fortunes have changed. He was in P4 half a lap ago. He's now down in 7th, potentially 8th place here as Mick Hazal now tries to challenge and go past him. Wave to the camera there from Hazal. So you can tell he's having fun with this. There's an incident under investigation between the German and the Japanese driver. We don't quite know what that is all about.
这个德国的这桩那个第8名，所以嘛是有每个人专长的赛道，熟悉度也无好，可能名次就较歹一寡。
And the Maraglino coming up better of that one in 5th position now. Yamanaka is having to defend from Manuel Rodriguez again. He's going backwards here. We've seen this from Yamanaka. Under pressure, he starts to make mistakes. We saw it yesterday in the Manufacturers' Cup. We're seeing it today now in the Nations' Cup. But this time, this is to go through to the grand final. He needs to retain this position or 4th. And the thing is, one mistake around here, and there is a train of cars waiting to get through. And Regalado there, the Peruvian driver, sliding that M3, just nipping the wall on the way through. Looks good, not fast though.
Goodness me, this is absolutely mega as all these drivers run nose to tail. So 4th place really becoming under threat now for Manuel Rodriguez. 3rd place even for Tomoki Yamanaka coming under threat as well. Beauvoir and also Miyazono looking like they've got a little bit more of a cushion, a little bit more comfortable out on track as things stand. Lap 4 out of 6 we are on now as we started here at the Tokyo Expressway South Inner Loop. And it is all to play for in this repechage race. The first 4 drivers rather will be the last 4 to qualify for the grand final event. here in Tokyo. Here is Mariglino riding on board with him using
生的电动玩具，跟他人人都是赛车手啊呢。啊，你若你真实世界要做赛车手，我看你也无钱买车，敢若加油你都无钱啊，莫讲甲买车啦。所以这伫电玩世界内底吼，会使可以这么拟真哦，让你花个几万块就可以当赛车手了。当然啊，周边配备嘛是足济，嘛是足贵的。慢慢啊买，慢慢啊买，总比买一只911 GT3较俗吧。
Is on the right of us, a free wide sandwich coming down now. Hizal on the inside of Sugawara for the fastest corner of the circuit, and contact there with Regalado puts him in the wall. So that might be looked into by our stewards, but Hizal momentarily up into 7th place. Meanwhile, Sugawara is now trying to pick up the pieces of Rodriguez, who had a bad run coming through the tunnel due to the issues going in. But Mariglino, most importantly, now up into 4th position, and more importantly, if the race ended now, he'd be going through to the grand final.
Well, there's still 2 more laps left to run here, so let's not count on
Jimmy given how unpredictable this车阵哦，大概距离较歪迄种的。
To get very exciting indeed.
我看迄距離攏溜出來，第一名甲第2名就差不2秒起啊，大概距離攏有溜出來。
Warning there against Mikazal, as well as I say that for contact with another car. I think that was with Alonso Regalado out on track.
聽到咚咚咚嘅聲，高速公路嘅伸縮縫。
P8
and 啊，到到伸縮縫攏有聲，你知？最厲害。
So it's not going the way of the hometown favourite in his hometown, on his home track here at the Tokyo Expressway. As you can see, Mikazal drawing alongside Sugawara. They're going to go left for the inside corner there of the left-hander of turn number 1. But Hizal doesn't have the speed to use it, and he doesn't get past Sugawara there. He had a really good run, but did he just back out of that going into that corner?
Not sure there. I thought he would have went for that move there, but anyway, Hizal in 7th place. If he does want to go through to the final here, he's got a lot to do and not much time to do it in. Now coming down to the hairpin once more. Let's see if there are any moves made on this lap. We have a lap and a half left to go here in the repechage race. Top 4 go through, rest go home in the background. Regalado and Pounder having a bit of a scrap there. Regalado trying to defend that 8th position, but really they should be focusing on going forward. Beauvoir there in the frame. Yamanaka still just about holding 3rd this time. He's defending against Mariglino. I think for him this will be his first grand final if he can get through, so I'm sure he's keen on holding on to that 4th position. Now through into the tunnel once more. Very much one line through here. We've seen what happens if you try and run side by side. There's contact, and at the moment it seems they're going to go through one by one. Lap and a half to go at this point.
Already to play for them. Here comes Mariglino really close off the back of Tomoki Yamanaka.
Incident under investigation.
Meanwhile, Regalado
in P11, I should say. For those 2 drivers, Pounder in 10th place, Regalado in 8th.
So let's see what happens with those guys.
Really attacking now as Yamanaka has to defend then. And Mariglino goes to the outside line, but look who's on the inside there is Rodriguez.
第3名甲第4名哇，層層叫叫，我講第4連、第5連，大家攏要做歸元啦，搶啥？搶第3名呀！第1名是在啊，贏要2秒啊，2秒2.2
big mistake there from Yamanaka. He had it all in the bag, and again the pressure just getting to the Japanese driver, I think, just not quite able to perform under these circumstances. But it's not over just yet. We have just over 1 lap to go, and there are a couple of big overtaking opportunities here. We know that Skyline, that Nissan DTR, I should say, sorry, is quick through the medium speed corners. If he can be close enough to Rodriguez coming out of the hairpin at the bottom of the circuit here, he may have a chance to reclaim that 4th position. But right now, Miyazano 1st, Beauvoir 2nd, Mariglino 3rd, and Rodriguez, the car in front of us on camera right now, in 4th. Riding with Yamanaka through the left hand. You see Rodriguez getting a bit sideways in the LT500. And now the long run down to the hairpin. Can Yamanaka get any closer and try and get this move made and get back up into 4th position? More importantly, back through to the grand final.
It's getting hugely exciting between these drivers. Here is Tatsuya Sugawara, then here is Mikazal trying to challenge. Side by side they go with Hizal, who's going to have the inside line for the right-hander. Hard on the brakes they go. Sugawara on the outside, Hizal on the inside, and Hizal through into 6th place. Brilliant driving there from Mikhail Hizal. It's going from bad to worse for the Japanese drivers here in Tokyo. And now Sugawara goes down into 6th place on the final lap here.
7th place there, Tom.
7th place, yep.
But yeah, I don't think Mick's done enough to perhaps get a place here. He's a bit too far back at the moment. Meanwhile, this man, Miyazono, he's led an absolutely fantastic race from pole position. We questioned his ability to lead from the front earlier on after the mistakes in the first running of semi-final A, but right now in the repechage he is dominant. 2.1 seconds between him and Beauvoir. If he can keep it clean through his hairpin, the race is his.
As we saw with his fellow countryman Ryota Kokuban last time out, it's a nice mature drive from Takuma Miyazono, and it has been very impressive to see him doing so well out on track to just keep that gap at a constant to Baptiste Beauvoir, who also again has driven very maturely in this race in P2. Rodriguez has gone wide. Is they going to allow Yamanaka an opportunity on this final lap then here? So this is getting very exciting indeed, and Yamanaka is going to have the slipstream advantage as they come down then now into the final series of corners. I think it might just be a bridge too far here for Yamanaka, unless he can try and invent something, unless Rodriguez makes another mistake. But through into the final series of corners comes your race leader.
Yeah, Miyazono coming for the left-hander, and a great race by him. He recovered well from the issues earlier on. He's going to go through to the final here, but Maraclio's been given a 1-second penalty. Yeah, more that retains the results. We'll see. Miyazono first, Beauvoir second, Maraclio third for now, and Rodriguez just about holding off Yamanaka for 4th. He will be absolutely heartbroken with that one with Yamanaka. Look at him slumping in his seat. Beauvoir looking equally as non-fussed. But Miyazono there, our winner for the repechage, and he'll be going through to the final where arguably I think he belongs. The 100 car, which is a late 80s-esque F1 car. Great to see that making a difference. It's nice to see a change.
準決賽 B 組應該
8 laps are quite a long race.
那邊就要接近尾聲啦。看完賽道介紹，咱直接就切入來看比賽。
Lopez in 3rd and Nicola Lukowski, Cody, they're giving us a thumbs up. He's in 4th position. Down the back of the field, Takuma Miyazono, arguably the favourite going into this this race here. He is down in 9th, so he has it all to do. How will he perform? We'll find out.
Yeah, I think Lopez as well. You know, he's always around. He's always so keen. He's got a kind of really alert but sort of relaxed attitude to everything that's going on. Things don't seem to get him down too much, whereas other drivers, you know, will like come off and seem really downhearted. I've never seen him miserable from what's happened. He's always a bit like, okay, let's see what I can do next. And so much of it is up here, you know, being able to like brush off mistakes and move forward. So I don't know. His sort of progression is just really consistent.
Maybe it's his diet. Apparently he only eats bread.
He only eats bread?
Oh, every time we go into lunch, he's just there with a plate full of bread. So I think
really?
Maybe
I tried that when I did that weird vegan thing for 2 months. It was not fun. All I ate was bread and peanut butter. It was because we were like in Madrid and places. And they were like, no, have some meat. And I was like, this is not really working. Can I have some peanut butter?
咱来甲快转者，较袂安尼伫遐等啊久哦。这场面宾士的前导车呢吼。
It is time then for the Nations Cup Grand Final here in Tokyo. World Tour 5 of 2019. F1500 cars on the grid, and here's how they line up, Jimmy.
Yeah, Adriano Carazza there on pole with the Brazilian liveried F1500. Behind him, local man, Ryota Kokuban. Big career, from the Japanese audience. Coco Lopez there in 3rd. What can he do from the 2nd row of the grid? In 4th there, Cody Nikola Lukowski, always someone to watch out for. In 5th, Nico Rubelar, the Chilean driver, already a winner. Can he do it again here at Tokyo? There, Rayan Derouche, the Frenchman, very fast in semi-final, but down on the 3rd row of the grid there. On the 4th row, Adam Wilk there, the Australian driver. Great to see him here at another event, and one of the first times in the final for him. Giorgio Mangano, the Italian there, in the red liveried. Reminds me of a certain manufacturer, that car in 8th. Miyazono there in 9th place. He has it all to do there from near the back of the grid. Baptiste Beauvoir, the Frenchman, is on 10th. And then rounding out the grid on the last row is Maraclio, the Italian, in 11th. And then behind him, Manny Rodriguez, the other Spaniard, in 12th. Standing start here.
Yeah, crucially, the first time we've seen a standing start in a Gran Turismo World Tour event in these F1500. machines. Soft tyres for the top 3 drivers, mediums for Lukovski and Rubelar, softs for Darouche, and then harder mediums further down the order. How will the different strategies play out? You'd imagine that the soft tyres will be the best ones to start on. They'll get good grip away from the lights, and the lights go out, and we're underway here for the grand final of World Tour 5 in Tokyo. Who gets a good launch down to the first corner? Karat's got away well. Kokiman immediately on the defensive. Keep an eye out for Lopez trying around the outside through the Dunlop curve. All lots of big overtaking actions. They come down in towards turn 1, but Karatza holds on. Second place is still going to be Kokiman. People going wide at that Dunlop corner there as well. Lukovski makes ground. He gets ahead of Mangano as they all manage to make it through as they come sweeping down now. The under investigation there for the first corner incident. Maybe there was some contact.
Cleaner than I thought, to be honest. I think there was a bit of contact coming up to the S's for the first time, but we'll let the stewards look into that. Here's Coco Lopez, good start from him. Flying position back there. Miyazono already up to 7th position. Nice and early on the medium compound tyres. Quick first stint and then save for soft tyres maybe depending on how he progresses. Lukovski has gone down to 5th position. Rublar's moved up into 4th. On board now with Darouche. You can see there on the right-hand gauge, that's a turbo pressure. Nearly 4.5 bar of pressure. That's a lot of boost, I can tell you that right now. Using it right now to get by Conan Lukovski, who seems a little bit slow off the corner there, maybe having a bit of trouble shifting that car up through the gears. Darouche looked across to see what was happening. Conan didn't quite know either, but look at the draft there, 360 kilometers now before braking for the first chicane, and Darouche gets it very wrong, has to take to the gravel, and he'll go to the back of the grid. Big arms up in the air, that's frustration, and that promotes Miyazono up into 6th.
That could be curtains there for Darouche's race. Still a long time to go though, with 8 laps and of course tyre strategy to come. So it's all about the recovery now as the 2 Frenchmen on their home circuit here in Le Mans sit at the bottom of the field with Beauvoir and Darouche. Here is Nicolas Rubelar in 5th position, 4th place rather, being harried by Cody Nicola Lukovski as they go through the Mulsanne corner then and up the straight heading towards Indianapolis. For the first time of asking, no further action at the first corner, deemed to be a racing incident, but Karatza now coming under pressure from Ryota Kokiman, who's got the slipstream, got the closing speed, he's on the outside line, but look at the way he muscles his way through. That was absolutely brilliant there from Kokiman. It's like Karatza was standing still there.
Yeah, that was odd actually. He slowed down very dramatically and Kokiman goes up into 1st position. Now coming down to Arnage, big heavy braking zone down here, and right now Kokiman, the Japanese driver, leading a big cheer from the crowd here.
The top 3 drivers are on the soft tyres, as you would begin to expect. Then it becomes the medium shod runners. The man who's lost out, of course, is Rand Darouche. The fact he's on those soft compound of tyres meant that he needed to push early doors and get himself with the top 3. However, that hasn't happened. It's going to compromise the rest of his race quite badly here as a result of that. So you'd expect the medium and the hard compound drivers to be pitting in as soon as they possibly can. The hard compound more so than the mediums, that is for sure. I think it's a minimum of 2 laps they have to drive at this Le Mans circuit, the Circuit de la Sarthe. Meanwhile, Ryota Kokiman here, Jimmy, just putting out a bit more of a gap as Rubelar there has been hit with a penalty.
Yeah, that might be a course cut there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Kokiman, though, showing his dominance in this F1500 car right now. The gap almost a second to Karatza, just over after him just before Indianapolis. And what can he do now? So these soft runners seem to be focusing on getting as far away from the rest of the pack as possible right now. Kokiman has the best way of doing that. No one in front of him, no dirty air at all, but of course, conversely, no slipstream. So he might end up being attacked down the straight coming into the first chicane. Meanwhile, even though despite the penalty,
館站嘅冰淇淋咧，芋頭未則緊，大家攏愛食蚵仔煎蚵仔就對啊！你要買一個館站嘅冰淇淋，啊，你蚵仔未了了，啊是什麼狀況？你講你 mistake 啦呢？
And that allows Coco Lopez and Karatza by. So just like that, Kokiman down to 3rd.
So easy to do so in these cars as they drive wheel to wheel. I tell you what, things have gone bad to worse for Rand Darouche as well. He's going to be hit with a penalty as he makes his ascension back through the field on the soft tyres. But here comes Coco Lopez trying to challenge for the lead, but he lifted off there on the Mulsanne straight, just trying to back out of it and not get himself too far alongside Karatza. Maybe trying to set himself up a little bit better. But now look at these 4 drivers running nose to tail. Rubelar's going to drop back as he's been hit with that penalty there for exceeding track limits of half a second. Now it becomes a 3-way scrap effectively on the second half of the Mulsanne straight. Mangano Engano and Miyazono, there was an incident there. That's had no further action taking place against it, so they still sit in their positions as they are. But here comes Lopez. He's really beginning to close up onto the back of Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian versus the Spanish driver, and it's looking pretty tasty between those two. Kokiban, though, he's there and thereabouts, and he'll want to get himself back out in front as soon as he can.
Got to be easier here, boys. Remember, you need to be working together, use that soft compounder tyre and try and make that gap as big as possible. Nico Rubila, despite the penalty, is coming back into play. 0.8 of a second now behind this little gaggle at the moment, and if he can get there, that'll be very impressive because, importantly, he's in the medium compounder tyre, and these guys are on the faster compound. Let's have a look at a replay here. Here's what happened to Kokiba.
Yeah, through into the right. Oh, look at that. He got a bit of opposite lock going off through there, sent it straight into the barrier on the outside. That allowed Carrazza to go through, and also Koke Lopez subsequently as well. So that is a big shame there for Ryota Kokiba. He was lucky he didn't end up spinning around and facing the wrong way, because that could have gone far worse for him.
Yeah, definitely not. And Lukowski, I think, is having a bit of an issue. He's not got the slipstream now. These guys are all towing each other down the straight and putting away. Lukowski behind, not doing that. So here is Koke Lopez right now, right in the wheel tracks of Adriano Carrazza, just ahead. I love these liveries on these cars, by the way. Very reminiscent of the old school cars that used to run back, of course, in the late 80s in a certain open wheel Formula Series. We come now down to the Porsche curve. This is where these cars absolutely thrive. Lots of downforce on these cars from the front, rear wing, and the general body designs. You can really throw the cars through. Although if you're Koke Lopez, you'll be getting a big hit of dirty air from Carrazza. You can see straight away Carrazza is putting away as you come through there, as Lopez tries to navigate the dirty air.
The two Italians are having a bit of a tete-a-tete out on the track by the looks of things. Brangano and Mariglino under investigation for an incident involving one another. That won't please either of them or our Italian commentators to the right of us as well. Here is Ryota Kokiban. We ride on board with the Japanese driver sitting pretty in third place as things stand, but he wants to get himself on that top step. We know that Miyazono also wants to get himself up there as well. Look at the way he just throws that car through the Ford chicane.
Trying to avoid that big sausage curb on the right there. Interestingly, Miyazono is going to come onto the hard tyre early, so I think what he's going to do is run 2 laps on the medium, 2 laps on the hard, then go to the soft on the end.
Well, that's what I'm expecting from the guys on the soft tyres at the moment. They're going to run 4 laps, the maximum they can possibly do in this race on those tyres. Then they'll change over to the mediums, then the hards, or the other way around, and run to the end of the race like that. That'll be quite interesting, because if it's quite as close as it is, it just depends on who's on the mediums, who's on the hards at the end of the race.
Yeah, we tend to see the soft tyre last the distance, though, if you're a good driver. But let's see what Miyazono can do. He has to do something special here. After qualifying in 9th position for the final. Of course, he was the #1 qualifier coming into this event. He had the fastest lap time around here in this car over a single lap, even over his countryman, Kokiban, who we've just switched to now. But because of circumstance during the semi-finals, he's now found himself down in 8th place. On board now, Kokiban. Look at that speed rise, nearly 380 k's coming down to the first chicane, nearly 390 k's. Heavy on the brakes then, coming into the first Mulsanne chicane. Touching the curb on either side, easy on the power on the exit. These things have a lot of power, as you can imagine, those big fat rear tyres, putting that power to the road. And Koke Lopez having a little bit of an issue on the left-hand side, kicking up the dust, but Ryota goes right back into the slipstream. Again, we've seen that a couple of times now, but the car's just struggled, it seems. Maybe they're shifting a bit too late.
Possibly so, yeah. They've only got 5 gears, these things. They are geared for straight-line speed, and that just shows how effective the slipstream is. But Ryota Kokiban, the upshot is for him now into P2. I'm fairly sure they're going to try and do one more lap on this soft compound of tyres and go for as long a distance as they possibly can on them within the rules in this race. Baptiste Beauvoir, meanwhile, the Frenchman's race goes from bad to worse. P11, and a penalty he's picked up, presumably for exceeding track limits over the course of this race. You can see the graphic on the left-hand side of your screen. Miyazono, Wilk, Mariglino, Beauvoir, and Rodriguez have all made their first pit stops in this race. So let's see what is going to take place. Bit wide there for Carrazza as he comes out of the Mulsanne corner as well, and that could potentially cost him just a little bit here. He's now a second adrift is Ryota Kokiban in 2nd place, but we know how effective that slipstream can be as we ride on board here with Koke Lopez, the Spanish driver, as they head in towards Indianapolis then for the 3rd time of asking. Through into the right-hander they go, and then into the left, and Lopez looking pretty good here, looking very calm and comfortable as things stand, and that's exactly what he wants to do. You know, he needs to be calm, he needs to be careful in this stage. They all really stand a lot more to lose than they do to gain in these early stages.
Yep, definitely, and well, maybe what Lopez is trying to, maybe he wants to sit in the slipstream, maybe he wants to sit here and just watch the action unfold, but I don't know about that. I wouldn't be doing that in this case. So these guys, again, the soft runners, we expect them to come in at the end of next lap right now. And I'm noticing as well that the medium runners have sort of dropped off a little bit. I think what's happened there is Cody has got past Rubila and maybe forced him into a mistake somewhere, because right now Cody and Rubila are the only medium runners left on track. I'm kind of perplexed as to why they didn't pit in and go for that the 4-lap soft strategy that we've seen everyone else seems to be doing. Maybe they're not confident they get that soft to the end.
Possibly so. I mean, tyre wear is not expected to be too much of a factor. Now Kokibun and Lopez go in, but Karatsa, crucially here, continues on for another lap. So Lopez and Kokibun think they've got to the end of the shelf life on their soft tyres. They both in turn go for the medium competitive tyres. Lakovsky comes in off of the medium tyres onto the hard tyres for his middle stint. It's all kicking off here as Rubelar, Darush and also Mangano in making different stops. Soft, medium and hard for those 3 drivers there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. And this is sort of the mid-race dip we expect with the strategy taking place. And it'll all kick off in theory towards the end.
It's kind of... Oh, hello. Kokibun looks like he's... no, sorry, he was ahead. Sorry, forgive me. I thought he jumped him in the pits there. But what I was going to say is that it seems that the toe is very important around this. So although Karatsa has stayed out on the soft compounder tyre, he's no longer going to have the toe of anyone around him. He didn't have it before. He was driving from the front of the field. But maybe these guys can work together and do something here whilst Karatsa is out on the lap on his own. It's a 20-second gap or so after the pit stop. So once Karatsa comes in again, that'll be rectified back down to a more reasonable gap. But yeah, I'm surprised we saw them coming on lap 3. Also, Miyazano in 5th position now, so he's been working his way up the field, has gone for the hard compounder tyre and then going for a fast finish, the same as Cody. So Cody and Miyazano hoping to have a fast finish here. Is that going to pay off on a circuit with so many straights? We'll have to see. They could be ones to watch, definitely. You know, those soft competitive tyres. The difference in terms of lap times is quite significant, actually. We saw with the graphic at the start of this race. It's about 3 seconds between the slow tyre, the hard tyre, and the fast tyre, and about 1.7, 1.8 seconds between the medium and the soft. So it's definitely a big difference. Of course, it's a larger track, so of course that's magnified compared to what you would normally see. But it's going to be interesting. It's a case of if they've got enough time to try and, you know, make a move. They've got to be clever. They've got to be clever here. Both of these guys here, the ones who are watching, need to be clever if they want to catch Karatsa. Here is the leader right now, getting that beautiful livery. I love the Brazilian livery in that car. It looks absolutely stunning in my opinion. Coming up now towards Indianapolis. We're on board now, getting a great driver's eye view of what Karatsa is seeing right now. And again, the speedo on the right, even without a toe, this thing is just pushing through the air, undoubtedly running quite a low downforce setting. Let's see if he's flat through the first part of Indianapolis. Watch that right foot there. No, a bit of a lift in the way, and I think he would have taken too much speed if he was flat through the first part. You can get away with it in an LMP1 car, not so much in one of these Formula-based cars. Then back on the brakes heavily for Arnage. Easy on the power out. It's the easiest place to spin the car, and then get ready for, in my opinion, some of the best corners on the planet, the Porsche curves. In a car like this, absolute dream. I love to be driving right now. Manuel Rodriguez and Salvatore Mariglino having a bit of a ding-dong battle for P9. Mariglino just briefly ahead of the Spaniard for a time being, but Rodriguez having been hit with a penalty, presumably for track limits, as we've seen a few times so far in this race, means that he will have to serve that and should, in theory, drop back. Now, Wilk and Mariglino instant there under investigation separately as well. Wilk is now down into P12, so just worth bearing that in mind. Maybe there was a contact between those two on track. But interesting, I've been watching the gap between Kokibun and Karatsa, who now comes into the pit lane. Kokibun has been gaining. So maybe that soft compounder tyre had given up. So this is going to be interesting. Let's see if Karatsa is going to come out ahead of Kokibun. Now, it's been a good lap for the Japanese driver. Karatsa comes onto the medium compounder tyre, so it'll be the same compounder tyre, albeit a lap less wear on it. Kokibun comes through the last chicane. The fourth chicane is a long stop here, so we'll keep an eye on it. Here we go then, Kokibun over the start-finish line, inheriting the lead for now. Where is Karatsa? Look to the left-hand side of your screen. Where when he comes out, Karatsa does come on the pit lane, and my word, the gap has actually increased. The gap is now up to nearly 2 seconds, although saying that, Kokibun manages to get a bit of that with just to run the speed coming through there. So the gap at 1.5 seconds right now, Karatsa has fresher tyres. Well, that is good news there for Adriano Karatsa. Of course, all these drivers now on the medium compound of tyres. As you say, into the pit lane comes Takuma Miyazono from P11, it said there on your screen. So that's because the prevailing field have in theory gone past him. Onto the soft compound of tyres for the closing stages there of this race, taking some fuel on board in these last few laps as well. Adam Wilk also onto the soft compound here as well. Now, Takuma Miyazono, of course, he's got drivers in front of him. However, they have all got another pit stop to make. So it's down to Miyazono to have the laps of his life here to get himself in the closing stages in a very competitive position. That's what it's got to be now. Miyazono, get your head down, mate. If you want to win this, these next 4 laps have to be the best you've done done all weekend. He's got Maraglino in front of him on the track and Rodriguez, who will catch fairly quickly on that soft compounder tyre. How quick he gets by those guys will dictate his result for the end of the race. Now these three at the front, they're going to be aware of Miyazono. They're going to know that he'll be coming through the pack towards the end of the race, so they need to keep it as clean as possible and try and work together around here. When I say work together, I mean don't be lunging each other into every corner. Use the toe of each other. If someone is coming by on a straight, let them by. Don't fight them, and just try and use each other's toe to catch up to Karatsa in front and just have a faster lap overall. This is going to be a great finish, and as always, just ramping up to the last few laps here at the World Tour 5 event at Tokyo.
I'm so interested to see what it's going to be like between Koke Lopez and Cody Lukowski as well, because he's, of course, as is Miyazono, going to be on that soft compound of tyre. Out of position now is Miyazono, of course, as we said. Lukowski having gone on for another lap longer than the man who was chasing him in this race. Now, a penalty there for Koke Lopez, half a second. That's for track limits, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is going to compromise him here.
Easy to do that around here. That'll be a couple of Spanish swear words, I think, inside the head of his right there. Very easy to do that. The track limits are very strict around Le Mans. They have to be, otherwise you can gain a lot of time. And although he is in the slipstream of Kokubin right now as they backfire the cars as they go by, I love that noise so much. Yeah, he's going to lose out coming out of Arnage here. Arnage in the big acceleration zone, so slowing out of any acceleration zone is pretty much the worst thing you can do to a driver. And then you see him drop off now, crosses the line, and then bam, 0.5 per second, and that gap on the left-hand side of your screen goes up dramatically.
Ryota Kokubun there in second place. It's been pretty quiet for him in these mid-stages of the race. This is what we're used to seeing with the races with strategy. It should all, in theory, liven up a bit towards the end, depending on these strategies. But Adriano Karatsa there has done a really good job with those fresher medium compound of tyres. He's really got them switched on. The gap now sits at just under 2 seconds between himself and Ryota Kokubun. A penalty there for Manuel Rodriguez and also Adam Wilt, as we can see on screen at the moment. So just worth bearing that in mind. We didn't see what happened between Wilk and Maraglino as it was earlier on, but clearly the stewards decided not to investigate that incident any further between those two drivers. But look at the way Karatsa launches that car over the curb. I mean, that ultimately is what caused the drivers to do so well in the top 6 qualifying session.
Definitely. So here we go. Cody Lukowski comes onto the soft tyre for the last part of the race. Now the pieces are starting to fall into place here at Le Mans. Where will Cody come out? That's very important for this race and for his race as well. Opting not to put much fuel in the car either on the way out. Just minimum fuel possible to get to the end. Any time spent fueling is time lost, and you're carrying that time all the way around with the additional weight of the fuel. We're on board now with Ryota Kokubun. The gap has kind of stayed around 1.6, 1.7 seconds all the way through this second stint, although Karatsa has a better run out of Touch Rouge and starts to increase that gap. Importantly for Kokubun, he's out the draft.
That is it, yeah, for Ryota Kokubun. So that is really going to compromise him here. Nicholas Rubelar has been hit with a penalty as well. I am guessing that is for track limits because we haven't seen an incident under investigation for the Chilean driver, and that could be a shame there for him. He's 8.1 seconds off the back of this trio of drivers who are leading the way at the moment, but it's still going to help him close up that gap. He's on the soft compound of tyres here as Rubelar at the moment, and of course he's got a hell of a job actually to close that gap down. He's got to make one more pit stop here, and he's going to be on the slower compounds of tyres towards the end of this one. You can see all the drivers who have still got to make pit stops all inside the top 5 positions now. Everybody else has pitted and are on their final way in this race for the last 2-3 laps here. 2.5 laps is probably the better way of putting it at Le Mans.
Karatsa currently leading the way.
等他收到简讯，马上赖我哈。
this in lap now. Meanwhile, we'll go back down through the field. This is Darush and Rubelar having a bit of a fight. Now Darush on the medium compounder tyre, Rubelar on the soft. So he has a bit of a speed advantage there over Darush in the corners. But of course, coming down the slipstream, not quite as much. Here we are looking back from Ray and Darush there. You can see the Chilean driver just behind. Now watch what the toe does. That car behind is going to get bigger and bigger on your screen as the speed rises, coming down now to the Mulsanne corner. Look how much more speed Nico Rubelar has, but he says, you know what, I'm not going to make the move here. I'm going to try and get close as I can, use the draft coming up in Indianapolis and make it an easy pass instead of a difficult one.
I love the way he just chews gum whilst he's racing as well. He looks so chilled, yeah. Nicholas Rubelar. There's Randy Roos looking a little bit more animated by consequence as well. As you can see, he's now having to try and defend. Rubelar now pulling side by side as they come down in towards Indianapolis. Then Rubelar is through with the slipstream through the right-hander we go. Darush down into P5. Rubelar, the Chilean, up into 4th.
Actually, a bit of communication there between the two drivers. They sat next to each other. I think he said, right, come through, come on. I don't want to fight this. Let's get on with it. Let's try and not lose time with each other. Again, like I said before, trying to work together to get back onto the pack. at the front there.
Different tyre compounds for both of these drivers, crucially here as well. Rubelar on the softs, Ray and Darush on the medium, so there's not much point really for Darush to get involved in the battle, especially Rubelar for that, because they're both on very different strategies here in this race. Now, what about Adriano Carrazza? He's going to have to come in very soon indeed. Will he do it on this lap? Will he do it on the next lap? He's going to do a minimum of 2 laps. He'll have to come in now, won't he, Adriano Carrazza? So the Brazilian driver preparing for his final assault here in this race. Now, Ryota Kokiban's got a half-second penalty there, so he's done track limits as well. It's caught out of quite a few drivers, including this man here, Koke Lopez. So the top 3 into the pit lane now, and Ray and Darush is about to follow suit very shortly indeed in 4th position. So let's see how it all plays out for these drivers as they take on the hard tyres, the slowest compound of tyres, for the final stages then of this race. Now look at the fuel consumption here. Adriano Carrazza is going to have to take on a fair bit of it because he's got only 18 litres left. Koke Lopez, meanwhile, has done a good job of saving it. He's got 30 litres left.
Not too much fuel to take on. Hopefully we'll see. Now, where was Lopez pits up? There you go. So Kokiban there. Again, as you said, Tom, a longer stop for Carrazza on fuel. He wasn't in the draft at all there, so we had to use more fuel. And Kokiban goes up into the provisional lead of this race. He does have that penalty, though. Rubelar in, as is Darush, both for the hard compound tyre. Where is Cody? Cody is 3 seconds behind Koke Lopez on a tyre about 3 seconds a lap quicker. And again, another penalty for Kokiban there, just abusing the track limits and getting paid for it as well. So a disaster for the Japanese driver. He's going to have a big hit coming on to the penalty zone, just coming out of Arnage, but Carrazza is about a second behind. Lopez 2.5 behind him, and Cody is gaining all the time in 4th position.
Darush and Rubelar seem to have had a bit of a tete-a-tete as well. You can see they're absolutely right for Lukovski and Miyazono, Jimmy, because Miyazono is hopefully going to try and close that gap down to Lukovski and bring it through. The advantage for the Australian here is, of course, his tyres are a couple of laps fresher, or 1 lap fresher at least. There is Kokiban about to serve his penalty, then 1.5 seconds. That's a week in this type of racing, and he's going to have a very hard task to try and close that gap down.
Oh my word,
that was close for comfort, wasn't it?
That's a speed differential there of the penalty. Oh, I thought, yeah.
Made you wince, didn't it?
It did a little bit, yeah. But Carrazza's now back up 2 seconds is the gap. The thing is, Cody is gaining all the time, as is Miyazono. Now the top 3 drivers, all in the hard compounder tyre, have to try and keep as far ahead as possible. The slipstream is the key around here. I cannot stress that enough. Once you're within about a second of the car in front, it's a bit like having DRS. The slipstream is so extreme in this regard. And you'll see Koke Lopez now. He's within a second just about of Ryota Kokiban. He's going to go drive up to the back of the car. Look, there is Cody. There is Cody in the background there, and behind him, there is Miyazono. They are charging through on this soft compounder tyre. And as is always with these final events here in the Nations Cup, things are going to go down right to the wire.
It is all to play for in the Nations Cup for World Tour 5 in the grand final. Here is Koke Lopez, the last of the 3 drivers in the top 3 positions on the hard compound of tyres. Now, are they going to feel Cody Lukovski breathing down their neck before too long? I think they are, because he's now fewer than 2 seconds behind, and these guys have to work together. If they get involved in squabbles, that is it for them, and Lukovski will be closer to them than ever before. They've got half a lap to go before they come on to the final lap here at Le Mans, and it is getting very exciting indeed, with Cody Lukovski looking and seeking to try and take his first ever World Tour win here, Jimmy, and he's in a very good position to try and do so.
Looking very good for him right now, but he has to really take his time and be patient. Make the smart moves, Cody. Did what you said you were going to do. Don't rush this. You have the car underneath you. You've got to be knife and gavel coming to the Porsche curve. Cody comes, tries to go up the inside there, but Koke Lopez comes across the defender. Now he's stuck on the inside. That puts Cody going around the outside of the Porsche curve. And again, there's contact between him and Koke Lopez. That's what I meant. Look, Miyazono's in the background now. He's onto the back of the compound tyres. Just like that, Miyazono is back into the frame, but now there's 4 seconds between these guys and the front pack. Miyazono's going to go around the outside, 3 wide, coming into the Porsche gate. Miyazono up into 3rd place, and now he will try and chase down the leaders.
The crowd goes absolutely wild in Miyazono with an inspired move. He is going to be pushing like his life depends on it on the final lap here of the grand final. There is your race leader, Adriano Carrazza. Ryota Kokiban, Miyazono's countryman, is in 2nd place at the moment. They're both on the hard compound of tyres. There is a gap for Miyazono and Lukovski to make up. 4.1 seconds it sits to Kokiban in 2nd position, but they've got a good amount of time to try and close that gap down here, Jimmy. It is all to play for, and it is getting so exciting.
Game over.
0.5 seconds, that's going to change everything. He'll be serving
Game over.
and that
这个巴西跑这站很厉害。啊是安怎买双来拖输人嘞？这是什么问题嘞
？Uses the sip screen. All they're doing is slowing each other up right now. This could be Kokibun's race. Lukowski keeps the inside, but now the penalty is being served at the second chicane. Guys, give us the front. There you go. So Karatsa very slow. Here comes Kokibun. He's got the run. 7/10 per second, half a second now. Coming down to second chicane. Kokibun's look to the inside, I think. Karatsa goes defensive. He swipes the outside.
Oh,你自己去弄边啊！
Japanese crowd here.
Ryota Kokibun leads in
为什么日本的直线加速较紧？奇怪。
Nations Cup, the Japanese driver is on top, but keep an eye out for the man who's
close behind as well.
He's ready to close
up
in these closing stages. Here is Karatsa though, he's going to try and fight back against Kokibun. Down they go, the Mulsanne straight into the Mulsanne corner, and Karatsa is back in front here.
Oh yo,
long man they need to fight for Cody to get close. Miyazono and Cody still fighting there back for third and fourth, but now importantly, it's a high-speed game of chess this. Kokibun's in the right place for the sit stream coming into Indianapolis. It's hard to pass coming out of Arnage, so again we're going to see the draft come into play. The speed increases. Here we go then, coming up to Indianapolis. Karatsa sits middle of the road. Kokibun goes to the outside. Goes to the slipstream.
Oh, 这是什么状况呢？为什么安尼？为什么安尼？为什么伊会使伫后边安尼拖尾速拖过去？为什么嘞？啊是啊巴西的你自乱阵脚。啊，去啊，江山去了。
So here we are then coming into the Porsche curves for the last time of asking Cody Lukowski just behind Karatsa. Can he come in? Can he gain? My voice isn't going to last this time, I don't think, mate. I'm going to give it to you.
Thanks there, Timmy. My goodness me, I've never heard anything like that. Dogs could only hear that one. Here is Takuma Miyazono in fourth place. Just in front is Cody Lukowski, but only a few corners behind now for the first ever Japanese winner in the World Tour event. Here is Miyazono there in fourth place.
Song 后边安尼一连用过安尼。为什么你直线加速会使赢啊？啊！哦，我先切掉，莫看到我的头。哇！差0.3秒啦，差0.3秒是听我无差。
Karatsa gave it absolutely everything and a bit more. I think he might have been a little bit more of a track limits at the end there.
刚刚看到最后一圈那个直线加速哦，
What a popular victory for Ryota Kokibun. We thought his performances had dropped since his Asia.
差距安尼越来越近，越来越近安尼。
Shows you just how quick he's able to be. The pack of drivers around him right now. I don't think he can believe it. He turns around to the applause of the Japanese audience. That is well deserved. Well done.
大家今日看这是 B 组，这应该是 B 组的冠军出来了吧？
I think tears in a few people's eyes down here as well. That was absolutely mega. It's hard not to get emotional watching it. That is what it means to Ryota Kokibun. That is what it means to the audience. Mikael Hazal congratulates Kokibun, and crucially, he qualifies and will take to the grid in the World Final in Monaco in November. What a weekend's worth of racing, Jimmy.
今天就陪大家看到这里了。我上尾入来是啥？阿罗，哦，啊你刚刚才进来，因为他看到上尾啊。今天这场安尼真刺激，袂歹，刺激。好，咱明仔载看有赢无？后壁有赢，咱来看一下迄个总决赛。 哦，但 A 组、B 组拢拍完了，咱领刚来看总决赛哈。大家晚安，拜拜。